You can use them for wrapping paper. You can put the scan on t-shirts. You can change them from color to black and white.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone in person along with virtually. Welcome to the November 13th Landmarks Commission meeting. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings based on Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal from any case due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the beginning of the presentation. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, virtual attendees will use the raised hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raised hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile versions and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or the facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking the raised hand icon again and muting your microphone. Call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activities are being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through the proper channels have been considered. The proper channels for comments are sending an email to the landmark@clevelandohio.gov email address with a comment or letter, calling or leaving a message at 216-664-2532, or sending a letter or dropping off comments to City Hall located at 601 Lakeside Avenue, Suite 519. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the stated deadline are collected by Landmark staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting.
Right, thank you, Madam Chair. To go over the meeting rules and procedures, the chair will call each agenda item, and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation is concluded, the chair will ask Landmark staff to summarize design review committee recommendations and any public comments received. The deadline for public comment is noon on the Tuesday prior to any regularly scheduled Cleveland Landmarks Commission meeting. Any received comments are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting, and staff will also identify any members of the public present scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
We'd like to call the November 13th, 2025 Landmark Commission meeting to order. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
All right. Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Dulick?
Here.
Councilmember Gray?
Here.
Mr. Lozier?
Here.
Director Mersman?
Here.
Mr. Sambury? Mr. Strickland?
Here.
Mr. Trosick?
Here.
Dr. Williams?
Here.
And Ms. Trott?
Here.
Madam Chair, we do have quorum. I'd also like to note that we have Jessica Beam and myself present from the Landmarks Commission staff here in the room, and Carl Brenges and Rachel Pierce are joining us virtually. And expect our representative from the law department to be joining us shortly.
Excellent.
And Mr. Sambury is here.
Excellent.
Full house.
Excellent. All right, then we will begin with our certificates of appropriateness. We'd like to call our first applicant forward to state your name and tell us about your project. The first applicant is located 1200 Starkweather Avenue, Lincoln Park Mural Restoration, Public Art Installation. Yes, please. You can come to the table if you don't mind just pushing the button so your mic turns green, and then you can begin. Thank you.
I'm Angelica Pozo, and I'm the artist for this project. And the proposal is to transfer this as ceramic tile sculpture, mural that had been installed in 2016 on a retaining wall in the center of Lincoln Park. It had been since 2006, people in the community had been asking me after seeing various public art pieces around the city, Angelica, what can we do with this ugly wall? And finally in 2016, we installed this mural that engaged, and this is the mural that was there, that we had put in. And so engaged a lot of community. It's a timeline of a history of Tremont. I had different community members engaged, had over 400 engagements of community members creating tiles and to create over 1,000 tiles to put on the wall. And so I had two different groups, and you can go to the next slide to show some of the people involved. I had two different groups. I had illustrators, people. Some of them were landscape architects, or some of them are artists, but some people who are not normally artists did the historical images. And then I had community members. I had all these different sessions in my studio, as well as different establishments around the Tremont, to create the colorful tiles that go around the historic images. So you can use the next next slide. And then you can see the people coming into my community, and then, coming to my studio from the community. Had block clubs come in and did tiles, and we did the mosaic on top. And so then it was an existing wall, so we didn't know what the composition of the wall, but as the years went on, we were noticing a lot of moisture was coming up from the wall. And so we assumed that it just did not have a deep enough footer. And so in 2021, we stopped reapplying the tiles that had fallen off. Usually it would be from an impact, and it would kind of hide the fact that it was other problems as well. So we stopped, and then you can go to the next slide. I think it will show the current situation, so that yes, so then you can see how the slide. So we've been salvaging the community. Block Club has been saving them and giving them to me. So I have a lot of the tiles that are salvaged, but you can see up on the upper right-hand corner how there's some of them, when they're there, people they try to pry them off and they break them. And so that I want to, before the winter comes in, is to go in and actually remove the rest of them. And then we'll be able to take inventory of what we have. And so I propose to start having the community sessions and engage the community to help sort them and take an inventory and see how many more we need to do, and create more tiles. If the historic tiles are missing, I have some of them. I have digital files on, and so I can make decals of them. The ones that we don't have that of, I can, I'll contact the artist, the initial artist that made it, and see if they want to come back. If not, I'll do them, or find somebody to do them. So we'll still have the same timeline, history line on there, and then have more community members make more decorative ones, the colorful ones, to go around them, so that it'll have the same look. And so the next slide will show the site of where I'm proposing to go. And so onto this wall, this is a view from West 14th Street, so it's a much more visible wall. So I would be reconfiguring. The initial wall was 2 feet high by 54 foot long, so it was a long timeline. So it'll be more, a bit more blockier. So I'll have the challenge of trying to still have a timeline, even though it's a blockier composition. But the proposal is to have the same sort of configuration, and then on this wall, and then wrapping a little bit along the front. So the next slide will show the draw in for. So the proposal is to kind of line up with the edge of the panels, the vents up above, the windows and vents, and then wrap around a little bit on the front. So then the next slide will show that. It's the height of that below the windows is 7 feet. So the proposal is to have it 6 foot, so that the mural will be 1 foot off the ground. Tremont gardeners have proposed to then do some plantings in front, so that we would keep the mowers from going right up to the walls to help protect it, because that was the other wall with the problems, the initial problems, where the mowers coming too close. And then I propose to wrap it around a little bit, because coming from the main part of Tremont, if you were walking and they didn't have that wraparound, you would not know there was anything on that wall. So that just to kind of give a little sneak peek, a little teaser that there's something to turn around and look at. And then, but not to interrupt or communicate with the rest of what's going on with the building, with the boys' rooms and the girls' rooms. So it's just a little teaser. I didn't want to wrap it all the way around and take over the building, basically. And so that wraparound is only 2 feet, will be 2 feet over into the front part. I would like to then have, that part to have, there's some tiles that have the, like, a recognition tiles and acknowledgement tiles, and I would like to have like images just to kind of continue the storyline of what happened with the walls, have like some images of what the wall looked like before, and also the original mural did have a little explanation that about acknowledgement about the community involvement and all that, so that would be a perfect place to have that little story about what the wall is and how that came about. And so then the next, I think that explains all that. So the next slide then will, so then the retaining wall then that is still there will be all marked up with mortar and all that. And so the proposal is to go grind that off and get that clean. If there's any pock marks or anything that indentations, to use surface bonding cement to clean that off, and then to paint it with a gray dry lock for the moisture to kind of seal that in, and then to go and create this pointillist rainbow using just the 3 primary colors, and getting the community making foam dot brushes, and having the community make dots and then overlapping dots to create the different colors of the rainbow. And someone noted out I made a mistake, so I have the purple and the blue in the wrong order, but I put it in the right order on the mural, but on my illustration. But we did that on this other project, and it was the community really had a lot of fun doing that. So that's what I proposed to do the wall. It would have solved the first problem, which was this ugly wall. Do something with the ugly wall, and it also represents Tremont's welcoming nature. So that's my proposal. So, okay. Oh, you're welcome.
Before we get to our feedback, we're going to start with the Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Greater Cuyahoga Valley Historic Design Review Advisory Committee on the 4th. They were definitely in support, the reinstallation was a good project. They did note correcting the colors on the rainbow, and did have questions on how the new installation would be protected. And it was noted that it would be edged in aluminum to help protect the tile. And some of the committee members wanted to see if there was possible to give a little bit of breathing room from the vent to the top, kind of frame it a little bit in the kind of work with the location on the wall a little bit, but not go too far in the front. And overall, they were supportive and did recommend the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness as presented.
Excellent, thank you. And then Ms. Petrus?
Thank you. One thing Angelica did forget to mention, also to help protect the mural along the bottom, they're planning to do some landscape up against the wall. And they did get some support from several different entities. One was councilperson Lauren Welch, former councilman Kerry McCormick, also the Auburn Lincoln Park Block Club, Tremont West Development, Tremont Gardeners, Tremont History Project, and by all indications thus far from Director Nichols, she appears to be on board once this is approved by all the approving bodies. And I wanted to read a couple of excerpts, one from the Tremont Gardeners. They're members of the Tremont neighborhood, community, and block clubs dedicated to beautifying Tremont's green spaces and increasing their usefulness as social hubs for the city of Cleveland. Enthusiastically endorsed Angelica Pozzo's proposing a mural project for Lincoln Park. Ms. Pozzo's original mural in the park, community-made art tiles mounted on a central retaining wall, has been subject to moisture damage and structural challenges that have compromised its long-term stability. Not only will Ms. Pozzo's new plan move the mural to a more visible and stable location, but it will also actively involve the community in repairing and beautifying the retaining wall that housed the original artwork. And they're also the ones that are gonna plant the shrubs around the base of it. They said we can't overstate the value to our neighborhood, to our city, of the preservation and relocation of this beautiful and culturally meaningful mural. And then from the Tremont History Project, they said they wanted to express full and unanimous support for the Lincoln Park Mural Restoration Project. This effort will preserve a work of art that enriches the character of the Tremont Historic District and deepens our neighborhood's, excuse me, sense of place. Members of Tremont History Project were among the more than 450 residents who helped bring the mural to life in its original creation. We're proud to support its restoration, recognizing, excuse me, its value as a living expression of the collaborative spirit that continues to define Cleveland's South Side. Revitalizing the mural continues that vision of inclusion, pride, and shared ownership of public art. So those are just a couple of excerpts from those entities, and I'm also in support. I know the city requires that when you remove a piece of public art from city-owned property, that you restore that location back to its original condition or better. And I feel like that's exactly what they're doing with the proposed mural on the current retaining wall once they make it suitable for paint application. So
Thank you. Any additional landmark staff recommendation?
I did want to note that Ms. Gregonis from Tremont West is here and had comments, but I guess before that, I just note that staff is very supportive of the project. Do have some concerns about adhering the tile to the painted surface. I don't know if there's a backer board and any flashing that's being proposed or just some details on that would be
I had
helpful.
my tile setter, who's I've been working with since 1994, when we did the gateway installation, and to look at the wall, and he said that we can, I asked if we should put a backer board or not, and he thought we can go directly onto the wall. And more than likely, I think if we just wire brush it a little bit to get the paint, kind of rough up the paint, I think that should be enough.
Understood.
Mhm,
Gotcha.
mhm.
Yeah, just that, and then, happy to review and approve the final paint colors for the replacement mural painting project. Staff is happy to do that.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you for that recommendation. We'll then open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Gregonis. I'm sorry, before I jump there, apologize.
Good morning, members of the commission and Madam Chair. This is Donna Gregonis with Tremont West Development Corporation. And I just wanted to share our support in this project. As you guys are aware, Angelica's a long-time resident, in addition to someone who we worked with very closely to get some of the funding for this project. So we defer to your guys' recommendations for any improvements, but we're 100% in support and are here to do anything we can to make it easy. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Who'd like to start us off? Mr. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very happy to see that this mural is being restored in the new location, which I think will weather much better than the original
Yes.
location. I live in Tremont, and my wife and daughter have a couple of tiles that they contributed to the original mural.
Oh, cool.
So hopefully those have been salvaged and
Hopefully
can
they
be
survived,
part
and
of
if
the
not,
new one.
hopefully you can come back. More than likely, I'll have at least one public session. I'm already talking to Kathy Oswald at Grumpy's to maybe have like an open, we had one before, we had like a potluck and it was in the evening, it was a fun.
That'd be great. We can add some additional tiles
Yes,
perhaps to the mural. So
Because we
very
lost
supportive
some,
of
so
the
I know we'll
project.
need to make some more, so.
Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Other questions and comments? Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for doing this. This is a wonderful example of both and, we preserve the art in a really creative way, and then the wall becomes something wonderful in its own right with even more community participation. I just think this is fantastic. Couple areas of thought, though. I'm looking at the proportions of how this is on the building. And I think the nature of the building has a kind of delightful, kind of quirky
Asymmetry.
series of
asymmetry,
asymmetries.
mhm.
So I feel that especially if it's going to become a little more linear, I think you definitely want more room at the bottom. Everything we've experienced with other tile murals, I'm speaking of West 65th Street, is challenged in terms of how that gets damaged. I also think what I like about this is that it reads even more than the original installation did of things you can see more at eye level.
Yes. mhm.
Probably give it a little more beef at the bottom. And I think wrapping it around to the side more would actually be good. I would even start it to maybe between the left and middle windows and wrap it around so that it's more like this dynamic stripe. Maybe you've considered that?
Well, wait, I haven't considered that. If we go to a couple earlier slides where it's showing before this one. So looking at the front, my initial thought was not to work into, sort of just to have the little bit of a strip over there and not communicate with the boys and the girls sign.
Mhm.
So that was my initial thought, but you're suggesting that I actually do go across there.
Yes, I think, I mean, I think looking at the delightful symmetry, it's almost not necessarily Wrightian, but there's a fun aspect to the asymmetry of the vents. So if you start at the bar between the left one and the middle one, and then wrap it around however far it goes on that wall, whatever makes sense
So
to you.
it would go probably beyond the boys sign.
Yeah, however far
So,
you wanted to make sure all the tiles, there was room for all the tiles.
Room for enough of them.
And I think give it a good couple feet at the bottom because lawnmowers throw stones and they break tiles. It's just our universal experience. So the more air you can give that, and especially if there's landscape in front of it, maybe it's some low shrubs or whatever, flowers, whatever creative landscaping. I think you don't want the landscaping to cover the mural. So those are my suggestions. And then I think staff review, we've also had challenges with sealing concrete walls. So I think in terms of the materials, I know you've got your folks.
For the retaining wall, which one
Well, both actually.
Okay,
So just to ensure that whatever materials are there breathe from the primer to the paint to everything, moisture's just got to get through because
To be
it's
able
going to
to get
find a
through.
way. So I think in terms of longevity, really suggest that you review with staff as well as your own professional folks. What's the best way to ensure that moisture doesn't become trapped in either of these installations?
Either location. And I was thinking of using a dry lock paint as a base for the other wall, for the retaining wall, because that helps to, works well with moisture and,
Does it allow it to breathe?
I have dry lock is meant to go on areas that have moisture issues. So I know that I have a concrete riser in my bathroom at home, and I've used dry lock, and it has stopped. It used to bleed through color and the moisture, and the white would get gray, and so that has, and it used to fall apart, and so the dry lock has really helped retain and keep it from having a moisture damage. I'll look into it some more, but I think that, and the dry lock I can get in different colors, or I can have it stained. But I think that would be from what I know, but I'll look into it more. But I think that'd be the best. And the colorful paint that we're gonna go on top is exterior concrete paint. So but I think what it needs is a good base that can not be affected by the moisture that's coming through, that won't keep peeling off.
Wonderful.
And then as far as the other, so I was trying to be, like, I didn't want to take over, as I said, I didn't want to take over the building, so that's why I didn't wrap it around. But if you guys think that wrapping it around, I mean, because it's like either one way or the other. Either you kind of pull it back, or either just take it on. So if you think that that's a good way to go, I can plan to just stretch it up, bring it up, as you say, bring it up from the ground and see how much space I need to keep, to be able to maintain the amount of images that there were the original.
Through the chair to the applicant, I do apologize for not following Robert's Rule of Order, but thank you. Yeah, I think feel pretty strongly that that really engages the building more three-dimensionally. It engages folks that are actually coming to the pool house. So I think you get both. You get the view across the lawn and you get the engagement in that plaza in front of the pool house.
I can do that.
Thank you.
You're
Those are
welcome.
my comments.
Thanks for the
Be curious
suggestion.
what my other fellow commissioners think.
Thank you, Mr. Dulick. I guess I'll make my comments next. I would agree and echo everything that Mr. Dulick and Mr. Strickland said. I think I'm very much in support of this mural. It's interesting how it's gone decades, in 2006, 16, and now you're approaching 2026. And you're still keeping that legacy really now alive. I do agree with Mr. Dulick that, I would feel comfortable with providing a little bit more breadth at the base and or at the top. And wrapping it around the corner more so that you are engaging people from both directions because there is that asymmetry. So you're not aligning with the symmetry because the building doesn't really have it. So let's just embrace the asymmetry and allow people to work with the proportions of the building, but really allow people to engage it from two different directions. So I would be in support of with the modifications Mr. Dulick said of pulling it up from the base and or on local, pulling it down from the vents and allowing it to wrap further around that adjacent wall. But overall, I'm in full support of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions and comments from the commission? No? Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve as presented with the requirement that the reinstallation of the tiles be studied proportionally to work with the asymmetry of the building, including more space at the base and the vents, and hold it off from the left-hand side of the building and wrap onto the other face of the building as far as you'd wish. As well as the requirement that staff review the revised proportional design, as well as the technical specifications and processes for the installation of the tile, as well as the paint on the retaining walls.
So we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second? Sorry.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Any further discussion? That's you, Mr. Muslim, please call roll.
Hey, Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Leisure,
Yes.
Director Mersman,
Yes.
Mr. Sambry,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trasick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Great.
We look forward to seeing it reinstalled here in the near future.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll then move on to our next applicant. The next applicant located at 2486 West 14th Street, Be Welcoming Sculpture Installation.
One big happy family.
Happy family.
Oh, my knee. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Maria Estes. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communications with Community West Foundation, and I'm here with Nancy Boyland of Land Studio to present the installation of Be Welcoming. But before we dive into the details of the installation, I wanted to provide you with some history. Go to the next slide. Slide, please. Thank you. So a little bit of information about Community West Foundation. We're mainly known for our grant making that we do for nonprofits in the community. Our geography is Cleveland, Western Cuyahoga, and Lorain County. And we support agencies that provide basic needs services. So food, shelter, medical care, addiction recovery services, things like that. and you see them listed here. Last year, we funded over 100 nonprofit organizations in that service area, amounting to just over $3 million. We often say and have for decades that we look to Matthew 25 to help guide our grant making. So whatever you did for the least of our brothers and sisters, you did for me. I'm sure you're all familiar with that, or at least the meaning behind it. And we align our areas of giving back with Matthew 25. So when I was sick, when I was hungry and thirsty, that sort of thing. You see some examples there on the bottom of the slide of agencies that we support. Many of them are in the Tremont neighborhood as well as in Ohio City. And so we're really out there providing the fuel for these nonprofits to be on the front lines and provide the services for people in need. Slide, please. So where has this led us? So our project goals of installing this statue is to elevate awareness and stimulate dialogue around human rights issues. Like I said, we look to Matthew 25 to guide our grant making. We also, well, let me back up for a second. The next slide is, one of the next slides is going to talk about the Matthew 25 collection. Nancy and I came before this commission, I think 5 years ago now, to present the Matthew 25 collection. And so Community West, you may remember this, but we installed the Matthew 25 collection on the near west side, and those sculptures are by this same artist. And so that's why I bring this up. So we went down that path to install those statues because they were a representation of our mission, and that has been wildly successful. It's one of the main pages on our website that gets the most hits, and it's just really resonates with the community, and it brings a lot of traction to those nonprofits who host those art pieces. And so when the artists came to us with this opportunity, we certainly met it with open arms. So this just kind of highlights the goals of both this art installation and as well as the previous ones that we have done. Next slide. So the artist is Canadian, Timothy Schmelz. You may recognize the name from the previous art installation. He has works all over the world, many at the Vatican in Rome. And as I mentioned, the Matthew 25 collection here in Cleveland. We're actually the second city in the world next to Rome, Italy, to host the Matthew 25 collection, which is pretty exciting. But we've become really good partners with this artist. And like I said, he reached out to us when this Be Welcoming statue became an opportunity. Next slide, please. So you'll see, as I mentioned, the Matthew 25 collection that we installed in 2021 is listed here. So these are the locations of those sculptures, and the sculpture names are here. So they depict the areas called out in Matthew 25. The most famous of these is certainly the Homeless Jesus sculpture that's in over 100 cities around the world. So kind of cool that Cleveland has one. It's in front of St. Malachy Parish, which, as many of you may know, decades ago, it was kind of the gathering ground for a lot of unhoused folks in our community, where they would be served meals out of St. Malachy Parish, which is partly why we chose that location. Next slide. So let's talk about the new installation. It's called Be Welcoming. It's based on Hebrews 13:2, which you can read there. We were contacted by the artist. There was a generous donor who purchased the artwork and wanted it installed somewhere in Cleveland. So the artist connected with us to come up with a recommendation on where we thought that might be. And we selected St. Augustine Catholic Church in Tremont, as you know, is on West 14th. And the reason we chose them, we have been funding their choice pantry that they have. Choice pantry, basically people who need food from a food pantry, they can go in and shop like kind of like a grocery store experience. But then also Catholic Charities runs a meal program out of St. Augustine Church daily, and it's well attended. And then the final thing I'll point out is St. Augustine actually holds the only Catholic mass for the deaf in the greater area. Just kind of an interesting fact that most people don't know. But we have a great partnership with them. We felt the location would be great. I mean, it's right on West 14th, across from Lincoln Park. Nancy will go over kind of the details of the installation, but it's a really cool experience of the statue with the way it's positioned, and I won't steal Nancy's thunder, but just a bit more of the nitty gritty details. The donor actually gifted it to Community West, so we're the owner of it. St. Augustine, Community West, and some additional donors on our end are paying for the installation. We do have an MOU between us and the church so that we're the owner. So if the church closes or their purpose changes, we can remove it and find a new location that better fits the mission. And I think that covers everything. Oh, thank you. Yes, and Community West holds insurance on it, as we do the other Matthew 25 sculptures. But thankfully, we've haven't had any issues. So, okay, and I'll turn it over to Nancy.
This is the aerial view in which where the location of this sculpture will be installed. Next slide. The street view facing north. The church is there on the left-hand side. Next slide. The street view facing south. Again, now the church is on the right-hand side. Next slide. So the location, obviously, as you know, is 2486 West 14th. The material of the sculpture is bronze. The artwork dimensions of the sculpture is 42 inches high by 61 inches in length and 36 inches in depth. Next slide. So there is a slight change to this one. I made an error on when I submitted this. We are going to be removing 168 inches section of the upper of the pipe railing, but only one vertical pipe will be removed. And I have another, I actually took this photo. I can show you exactly where I erred. Next slide. So this is the site plan of photoshopped of the area. The pipe rail has been removed, and it'll have a kind of like a half moon concrete pad that will go right up to the sidewalk so that it can be accessed by all. And then you can see the side view on the right-hand side. There will be a sign that will also accompany it, and the signpost is the dimensions would be, let me see, 3 inches by 3 inches by 63 inches in length. So that'll be obviously sunk into the ground, 42 inches deep in a concrete footer. The plaque itself is 12 inches by 14 inches. It's painted black face plate. It'll be set on a 30-degree angle. It'll also have a QR code that'll be on that as well. That'll direct them to the Community West Foundation website. Next slide. So this is just a mock-up of kind of how the sculpture will look. Next slide. And this is the sign text. And on the left-hand side, you can see that's the typical sign and signpost that are at the other 5 installations. Next slide. So these are the different views, and so as you approach the sculpture shows a weary traveler who is visually transforms into an angel when one walks over to the seat that the figure is welcoming the viewer to take. So depending on how you approach the sculpture, you get a different view. Next slide. This is the installation method. There's a concrete footer, 42 inches in depth. There's threaded rod that'll be attached to the underside of the sculpture. And then it is set into the concrete. Next slide. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you for the presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Before we get to our comments, we'll start with feedback from the Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Greater Cuyahoga Valley Historic Design Review Advisory Committee on the 4th. the applicants have addressed a lot of the questions and discussion that the local had, which was great, so thank you. There are two kind of main focuses that they had. One was a lot of concern with removing the fencing around the church. Not a lot of churches have those rails, those short rails left, and it's kind of an important feature of churches. And so that was a big concern of the committee to make sure that it's very minimally impacted. And so only removing one or two sections would, and leaving the post is definitely preferred, just to kind of minimize as much impact while still having accessibility to the sculpture. And then the other kind of main comment that they had was making sure that the concrete base above the sidewalk, and so that way there's accessibility and there's not the opportunity for, you know, mud to kind of get everywhere, and to kind of make sure that the base also connected, and they wanted to see that with a site plan, and so that was part of the conditions. They did recommend the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness with the conditions, as noted, to kind of have the concrete abut the sidewalk, preserve as much or minimize impact to the existing fence, revise the site plan in placement in relation to the fence. They all kind of fit together with where the fence was going and how the concrete was going, and to center on the one section. So they were overall supportive, just kind of wanted those final details on that installation.
And it appears that they've been addressed in the presentation today.
Yes, yeah, a lot of them have been addressed, yeah.
Thank you. And then we will move on to Ms. Petrus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I definitely support this project. I would definitely hope that this does get an approval. I think the way they address it, so it's accessible for people, whether you're in a wheelchair or walking, can experience the art. I did not hear back from the council person, but I think this is a great addition to the neighborhood. I think the location is perfect, and I can appreciate that they are respecting the rarity of that type of fencing around churches in the neighborhood. So that's my comments.
And landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if Ms. Gregonis has
Oh,
comments from
Gregonis?
Tremont.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
There's so many
She
people in
didn't
the
have her
room.
hand up, so
Hi, good morning, everyone. Again, this is Donna Gregonis, Economic Development, Real Estate Development Director at Tremont West Development Corporation. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the commission again. So I'm here in full support of the proposed public art, in addition to the other one, at Lincoln Park, or across from Lincoln Park. I would like to add that it's especially meaningful that this is a sculpture and it's sited on the property of St. Augustine because of their longstanding commitment to service, accessibility, and community program that's had such a big impact on Tremont. And this is going to be a heavily trafficked area. So this really further reflects the spirit of welcome and care that St. Augustine brings to the neighbor. And we believe that this will be another wonderful addition to this part of the neighborhood that's being approved today, hopefully, and lasting asset to both the church and the broader community. So we hope that you do approve this as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gregonis. Russell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, staff is also supportive of the proposal. We would agree with local that we would like to see a final measured site plan just due to some of the inconsistencies, between what's been presented versus what's actually being presented. So a final measured site plan would be helpful. That includes dimensions, not only of the fence and confirming what's that, but then also of the statue, and then any of that additional signage that's currently present or being proposed, just to ensure they don't interfere with each other. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we will open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. Like to start us off, Director?
Thank you. It's a beautiful project. Looking forward to experiencing it, and I love the sort of surprise that is within many of us, right? I do wonder, the discussion of the fence makes me wonder if the portions that you're taking out can be removed in a way that they could be tucked into the basement of the church or something like that. So if this statue does move in the future, it could be restored rather than just a gap there. I don't know if that's possible at all, but just a thought.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Director. Any additional questions, Mr. Anderson?
I just want to let you know that I am really struck by the beauty of the statue. This is really a very moving piece of art. It's very appropriate for the site. I think it's an appropriate message for our time. So I'm like I say, I'm very moved by it. Fully supportive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Other questions and comments? Mr. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's great to see another improvement to the Tremont neighborhood being proposed. It's wonderful. I had a question about modification to the pipe rail fence. It's a T fitting at each one of those vertical stanchions. And so are you going to replace that T fitting with a elbow to make a smooth transition, or?
Right. So what I have requested that the contractor do is when they remove, especially on the horizontal portion of it, when they cut the pipe rail, that they close the open ends of the pipe rail so that bees nests or other, critters nests or whatever we're going to try to prevent that, but we're going to close those holes, those openings off. Is that what you were?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm sure it can be done in a way that it could be reversed,
Yes.
yes, if needed in the future.
Thank you.
Great. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to just express how excited and exciting this statue is, and how meaningful it is to this community, and it's a really great opportunity to enliven the streetscape a bit more. I would also support the comments from my colleagues as well, making sure that we're able to retain the removed sections of railing and have those stored for later reinstallation if that is required in the future, as well as providing measured site plans to staff for review. The sort of question / comment that I have is looking at the Google Street View and looking at the placement of where the two sections of railing would be removed. It looks like there's a light pole, sort of a street lamp light pole on the tree lawn. It's not shown in the sort of the straight on views, but that might obscure that from the street as you're driving by. So I guess I'm wondering if it makes sense to maybe shift the statue to the south one bay, so that there's one remaining section at the corner and then two remaining sections in front of the church, to allow it to be a little bit more visible from the street as you're moving south along 14.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lozier. Interesting feedback. I'm not in Google Earth to be able to respond to that myself, but I think that's an interesting observation and something that could be studied. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing fairly consistent, support for the project. Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the project as presented with a condition that the applicant provide a measured site plan of the installation and modify the rail so that it could be restored in the future, and consider, the placement to maximize the visibility for pedestrians and people traveling down West 14.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. So we have a motion. Do you have a second? Mr. Dulick?
I second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dulick. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Yeah, Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Director Mersman?
Yes.
Mr. Sembry,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trasick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trot.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We look
Thank you.
forward to seeing this move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our third applicant located at 11401 Lorraine Avenue. Before we proceed on this, we do need a motion to untable.
I'll move to untable.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Mustin, please call roll.
Okay, Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Lozier,
Yes.
Director Mersman,
Yes.
Mr. Sembry,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trasick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trot.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. Good morning. Please proceed.
Good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to come back, kind of finish this conversation and address some of the concerns from last time, from a few weeks ago.
I have to recuse myself.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Seeing the applicant and the, yeah, I have to recuse myself.
Okay. Thank you. We might want to just sit right over there and then we can come back over.
All right. So when we met about 3 weeks ago, three main issues that arose was the drive location that was proposed, the fencing along Lorraine Avenue, and the windows in the central area being more historical looking. So we have met with the owner and we think that we've come up with well appropriated solutions to each of these issues. If you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. And this is just for reference with the historical nature of the building. Next slide, please. So what you'll see here, this is an updated site plan that we are going back to the existing drive location. So we're not going to change that. That will preserve the bus stop there, as well as many of the trees that were going to be removed for the new drive location. So the green area that you see indicated on this plan is actually additional trees that we intend to save. So in that area, we only look to take down anything that is dying or may affect the neighboring properties in the future while we're in that. And then on the next slide, please. So this again shows that reuse of the existing drive location. And as it integrates into the new proposed parking lot area that was shown previously. The blue line that you see is our new proposed fence line. We have removed the fencing along Lorraine Avenue that was previously shown. And in working with the owner, we've pulled back the security boundary to work with the planes of the building itself to contain the campus from basically the building walls rather than the outer edges of the perimeter. And with that, we've also revised the type of fencing to more of a fish hook shape or shepherd's hook shape at the top, if you will. A little less noticeable when you're driving past that it's actually more of a secure type fence, anti-climb fence, but from the inside it will serve its purpose to help anti-climb. Next slide, please. The last issue we wanted to take a look at was the windows on the central area of the building. If you can go to the next slide. We did work with the owner and the engineers to discuss outside air and the need for those windows to be operable. It was found that there's no need and it's more of a risk than a need to be operable. So we have presented here a 12 gridded pane for those centralized windows to revert back to the historical 12 grid that was originally installed. For this, they will be fixed windows in lieu of double hung, which was historical. And that is with the intent of this being a behavioral health type building to help maintain the safety of both patients and staff. And on the last slide, you'll see an updated rendering showing those revised windows in the center of the building. And I believe that's it. So I appreciate having the opportunity to come back here and present those solutions.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Before we move on to our comments, we will begin with just landmark staff recommendations.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this was tabled at our October 23rd meeting, so it did not go back to the local design review advisory committee. But staff is appreciative to the applicant for all the changes that were made based on the comments from the last meeting. I think this plan works well and appears to be appropriate. I think particularly pulling the fence back, going to a more historically appropriate style of fencing certainly helps. Did want to note on that center portion of the building, the existing windows are 6/6 on the second floor and then 6/9 like cottage sash on the first floor. So if that could be mimicked or replicated, that would be helpful. So essentially, 15 divisions instead of the 12. And we'd love to see for those windows, understanding that they're fixed, and appreciative for making that change. If that former parting rail or the middle mullion could be a little heavier to kind of mimic an actual window. Offset would be great, but I think something there to give it that feel of a double hung sash, even though it's a fixed window, would be extremely helpful to the project. But yeah, I think staff is fully supportive, recommends approval. Would just like to note, if you do choose to make an approval, I think specifying the fencing location on Lorraine, just since that last rendering showed it on the other side of the parking lot, still just noting that there won't be any fencing on Lorraine would be helpful.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, we'll now open the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Let's start us off. Yes, I'll start.
Yeah.
I will echo, staff's, comments. Thank you for taking our comments to heart and
Yeah.
making the revisions. I think, the revisions you've made have really made this project aesthetically appealing to the neighborhood and the building property, but meeting your needs. So thank you for taking them and
Absolutely.
listening to them. I have no other comments besides that I think I'm in full support of this with all the revisions.
Thank you.
And do appreciate and would be aligned with staff's comment about continuing to adjust, those central windows in a
Yes.
fixed format to match what's existing.
Will
But
do.
overall, full support of the project. Other questions and comments from the commission? Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Sunbury?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make a motion to approve as presented with the requirement that the first floor windows go to a 6/9. And any transition bar be beefed up if possible.
And then can we recommend, with the requirement that the fencing be removed for Lorraine and aligned with the
Yes.
building as shown or described?
Shown in the plan and not the rendering.
Correct. So we have a motion with some conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Julick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Sorry.
Councilmember Gray.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Lozier,
Yes.
Director Mersman,
Yes.
Mr. Sambry,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland. Oh, I'm sorry, he's recused himself. Mr. Trassick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trout.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously while noting that Mr. Strickland has recused himself.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much.
Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We will now move on to our fourth applicant located at 6201 Detroit Avenue, Cleveland Public Theater, facade improvements and signage. Good morning.
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 Good morning.
Morning.
You ready?
We're ready.
I'm Peter Bohan with Perspectus Architecture. Raymond Bobgan, Executive Artistic Director, Cleveland Public Theater.
Carter Edmond, Director of Design for Maurice Brothers Construction.
So we're here again with our presentation for the exterior improvements and streetscape at Cleveland Public Theater. Just as a reminder, we were here previously for preliminary review. I've also been back to local design review. We've taken into account the comments we've received and made some adjustments accordingly to the project, and we're here to present those today. The big picture for the project, again, is the intent is to unify the campus. We've got multiple buildings across several sites, clarify the main entrance to the main theater, and restore the visibility of the overall campus. Next slide, please.
Is it us?
Oh,
Do we?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great.
It's a bit of a lag though.
Thank you. So again, just locating the site here along Detroit. I think everybody's now familiar with that overall site. We'll focus in on the next slide. If I hit the right thing, maybe, maybe not. It's just the arrows left and right. That's a lag. Just focusing in on the site then, where we'll be looking specifically is at the elevation of Gordon Square and Levin Theaters, sort of highlighted in white there on the left side of the property. Some photos of the existing theaters with Gordon Square Theater on the left and the Levin Theater building on the right. These are some views that we did not have last time of the approach to the campus from the west along Detroit. And here you can see how influential and blocking those existing trees are to the visibility of the campus. I know we did talk about this at our last presentation, and we are still proposing the removal of those trees again to restore that visibility of the theater. Here's some historic images of, on the left, the original Gordon Square Theater signage that was on the Gordon Square Theater building, and then to the right, the Levin Theater building without and prior to the streetscape being installed. Just a quick site plan to identify the different components of this project. So here you can see where we're highlighting the new blade sign as well as marquee, the removal of the two trees in front of the Levin Theater on the right. We are planning to relocate the existing script style Cleveland Public Theater signage to the west face of the Parish Hall so that will be now visible from the parking lot. And then there is some proposed addition of lighting and banners on the east side of the Gordon Square Theater. On the front elevations then, Gordon Square Theater on the left, Levin Theater on the right. The blue highlight is identifying the replacement of the marquee. And we've got some images of that coming up later. The orange area, and we've got some more images of this, is where we're proposing a transparent LED film on the windows that will project images on the glass. And then the dashed pink line going across and below the windows and across the Levin Theater is a linear LED light connecting the blade sign, the marquee, and then extending across to the Levin Theater. Looking specifically then at the location of that LED stripe, we had comments both from this group as well as local design review to look carefully at the placement of that strip to make sure that it had some logic to it. So when we look closely in the photo on the right, the placement we're targeting here is a brick course that's directly below the windows, which aligns with part of the cornice or entablature, maybe is a more correct term there, on the Levin Theater. So there are flat surfaces that have a logic and align those across the two different buildings. That then extends across and connects the top edge of the marquee as well as aligning with the bottom of the blade sign. So there's some connections and architectural logic as we go across those elevations. These are some images, and I think I brought these in hard copy last time, of some installations of the LED film on glass. We have actually now experienced this in person, finally found an installation in New York City. It is pretty intriguing. We're going to be experimenting a little bit with the translucency of it. It does come in several different scales of translucence, so that it can affect both the visibility through as well as the resolution of the images that are produced. So we want to make sure we get that right balance there. So we're going to be experimenting with a couple of those, but the intent is that you're able to generate images on the glass while still maintaining visibility through the storefront as to what's going on behind. This is the east elevation of the Gordon Square Theater, showing the 3 locations for the banner signs and lighting of those, as well as then the position of the blade sign and new marquee on the front. Now we have some images updated to show that linear light connecting, aligning with the bottom of the windows at Gordon Square, coming through the entablature on the Levin Theater, connecting the marquee and the blade sign. The marquee sign, just as a reminder, the intent is the front face of that sign is just the lettering that indicates Cleveland Public Theater. That will remain static. The 2 sides then are to be LED panels and are able to be programmed for different types of signage, whether it's lettering or potentially graphics, but that can be changed and programmed. And then right now within those storefront windows, you're just seeing a suggestion of sort of a water pattern being projected by that LED film, but that also would be programmable and changed throughout the day. Oh, I should mention with that, also we're showing the removal of those 2 trees that are currently in front of the Levin Theater, as well as the script signage moving away there, again, enhancing and focusing the entrance then back to the Gordon Square, as that'll be the singular entrance for the campus of these 2 buildings. And then as far as the removal of the trees in front of the Levin Theater, we'll be working with the city forester on what is replaced there, lower planting, again, to enhance the visibility of that storefront.
And I have tried to reach out to through Urban Forestry. I've not been able to schedule a meeting yet, but I'm still working on that.
Then the view from the east looking back to the west, you can see the banner signs, the blade sign now increasing the visibility of the campus here, and you just sort of see the marquee peeking out just below the blade sign. And I believe, yeah, that is the end of our presentation. I don't, anybody else had any other comments?
All right.
Thank you.
For the presentation. Before we get to our comments, we'll start with local design review committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Historic West Cleveland Design Review Advisory Committee on October 15th. There was a lot of discussion. The committee appreciated the additional info. We're interested in the use of the LED film, but wanted to note that final cut sheets would be needed and additional details there. They also suggested or recommended the LED only in the storefront windows and not in the transoms for the Gordon Theater building. It's located in both, and then the Levin Theater building is just on the lower storefront windows. And so they kind of had a discussion of maybe just in the lower it may read better, just kind of part of that conversation. They wanted to see or recommended it be provided the overall intent for all of the signage, like framing, LED, what's fixed letters, and all of the details for the signage, hours of operation, etc. And then there was discussion on the trees, a mixed response from the committee on the trees, with a part of their overall recommendation for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness would be to study smaller or more appropriate trees to put there that don't impact the storefront or the use for the theaters, but to kind of continue that streetscape. Overall, they did recommend the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness with recommendations to study that LED graphic in the windows, as noted just on the lower, not in the transom windows, and noting that they were in support of the tree removal due to the invasive species and obscuring the marquee, and input provided by the applicants through the theater community, and requested that more detail be submitted for signage.
Perfect, thank you. And then we'll move on to Landmark's staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Overall, staff is supportive of the concept and the signage being proposed and I guess making the theater more visible and welcoming to the community. We do have, I guess, some questions that we, I guess, don't have answers to at this point, specifically, specific dimensions and materiality. Like the marquee and the projecting blade sign, are those channel letters? Are those push through? How are those going to be constructed? How are they going to be attached? What are their specific dimensions? A lot of that's necessary to answer some of the questions we have that are more zoning related moving forward. Like sometimes projecting signs, like this one will require legislation because they're considered a permanent attachment to the building. So that's a variance that this body can't grant. We can grant other variances to the signage code, but it's kind of unknown what those would be at this point, just given the level of detail. So I'd say, like, as a schematic concept, staff is supportive of it, but I think we do need those details before we move forward. I think, there are certainly some questions about the appropriateness of the LED screen, and we'd like to see more details about that. Like Peter was saying, the opacity, I think, is going to be very important. And just, hours of operation, how bright it is, how opaque it is, and then what the content is, if it's going to be specific to, theater related things and going on site, or if there's any off-site advertising that brings us into a whole different zoning area. But that also may be considered signage. So I think there will be some PRO, pedestrian retail overlay issues with that, depending on the opacity. And then if it's signage, there are other zoning issues that get brought up. All that to say, it's a lot of zoning questions. But from a Secretary of the Interior Standards perspective, we're supportive of the signage, have some questions, concerns about the LED screens. And then I think generally, I think a site study would be helpful, just to see, with the discussion of the trees and the banners on the side and the TRD leather building, how visible those banners on the east elevation will be from different areas, I think would be helpful to know. And then with the marquee, are the trees now, have they grown to a height that, as they've been an issue for many years, are they no longer as much of an issue because they've grown tall enough now? Can you see the marquee under it? I think those kinds of questions would be helpful to have more information on. But
So I want to address a couple of those things. For the more technical drawings for the signage and the LEDs, as we're moving into bidding now, we're starting to get those subcontractors on board, and those will be produced by the signage company, and then the submittal from this specific product data from the LED provider. So those will be available, and we'd be happy to share those with staff.
Thank you. Any other from recommendations, or that conclude?
that's all staff has. Thank you.
Okay, then we will open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. We'd like to start us off. Mr. Strickland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is a great project. This is a very active area already, and I just think that this is going to be a dramatic improvement and further activate that neighborhood. I think it's going to be transformational and just really activate and expose Cleveland Public Theater in that area even more. I mean, it's a foundational kind of institution in the neighborhood at this point, but this will just further, represent what it means for the neighborhood. And I think it's just going to be a tremendous improvement. And I personally think it would be a mistake to put some other kind of tree in front of the theater. I mean, the case has been made that in virtually all cases, you don't have anything obstructing the view that is the major facade of a theater facility. And so I think it would be a mistake to put some kind of a contrived landscaping in front of the theater. Those are my comments.
All right, thank you, Mr. Strickland. Other director?
Thank you for the updated presentation. I appreciate all the zoning issues raised. As you may know, with projects that are between art and signage and advertising, that's a line that we're constantly navigating regulatorily at the city. Happy to work with you to navigate that from an administrative perspective. I'm very excited about the idea of a new sort of medium applied to glass. The LED transparent film seems really exciting. And so looking forward to figuring out how to make it work for you. I do think detail about like that your images show some more organic images. It would be helpful to us to know if it would always be things versus messages. That sort of thing will help us navigate those lines with you. I'm glad we're on this slide because I have been reflecting on there are a lot of different lights and dynamic pieces going on here, I think. So we're talking about the film applied to the windows, the side digital signage, is that right? On the side of the marquee, you have string lights added. I just wonder, I've been sort of reflecting on the nature of this theater district and trying to find the right adjectives for these comments. I think that this theater district is separate from and has a distinct identity and feel from somewhere like Playhouse Square. And the adjectives that are coming to me are more organic, more sort of stately in a stable way, like less flashy, glitzy, more like rooted maybe is what comes to me. So I just think that we all want to be intentional about maintaining that rooted sense, elevated, certainly artistic, having a presence on the street, really doing cool things with technology available to us, but not over glitzying it, like being really true to the identity of the Gordon Square Theater District. So I'd just be interested in your reflections on that and if the digital signage on the sides will be dynamic, static, thinking about that being dynamic and the windows being dynamic, how those can complement each other rather than contrast or conflict. And then my final question is about the eastern side. There is a mural right now on the building that's directly to your east that isn't shown in the rendering. This one, it's just blank brick there. And so I'm wondering about the existing mural, whether that would stay, which I guess that's my presumption, and how the CPT signage either integrates or complements that there. It's just a collection of thoughts. Sorry, there's not very specific questions there, but I would love to hear your reflections on those thoughts.
Yeah, through the chair, I'll just say, first of all, I think you and you're speaking my language. There's really a sense that we are an alternative theater. And as such, we are very mindful of differentiating our brand from Playhouse Square or like, Broadway or things that are like that. I am thinking of a static LED sign. I actually was kind of pushing against the LED, but ultimately my staff was like, we are so tired of changing out these letters, Raymond, please. So these are going to be static posters of the show, an image of the show with dates and all of that. Could we maybe have like one and then it would be like a slide? Maybe, because right now we are oftentimes running 6 shows in a 2 or 3 week period. So we have to make this choice right now where one artist's name is not up and another's is, right? So I think there could be a slide factor, but we're not interested in like, these kinds of things. Just in New York, looking at a lot of different windows myself. I'm really looking for something that is not bright on the windows as well. And the intention of those design would be to convey essentially the images and the graphic design of that year's brochure. I should have brought the brochure with me. But so those are going to be photographs of shows from the prior year and then poster-like images. And I think if many of you are on our mailing list, I think we get a lot of praise about the unification of our messaging and of our brand. It has us, what I want to say is a homemade feeling, our design, intentionally so, and yet very thoughtful. So that's what we hope to have. We really hope this will be a kind of way to put our brochure onto the onto the windows. I'm less interested in actually names and shows and things like that. I'm more interested in the show images and the images of performers themselves. As I said before, one of the biggest comments we received was the feeling of artists that they are invisible in the neighborhood and that they were sort of erased by some prior choices. So really showing who's inside the building is pretty important, I think.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I think relating to the conversation about the transparency factor on the film, one way to see who's inside the building is to actually see through the windows, and another way would be the photographs on there. So those seem like two different. If you're showing photographs, I imagine you would want something more opaque so that you can see the photograph more than what's happening behind it. So.
And let's be honest.
No answers, Jeff.
And the other thing is like everything at Cleveland Public Theater, we can design and plan what we want, but the sort of path of the community is always going to lead. So it may be, one of the things is we wanted everyone, we put windows here in front because we thought, oh, you'll be able to see inside. Mm-hmm. And then there was a real sense of like, hey, when we're teaching classes, these windows need to be closed because there are children in here and there's other exposure. So these are the challenges that we have,
Can you speak to what is directly behind the storefront windows across the theater?
So the farthest
Is it
two
classroom
west
space?
windows are currently classrooms.
Mhm.
One of those will actually become, there won't be anything behind it because it's a storage room. So it'll be a shallow thing. That will be the second most westerly. The third most westerly is the one behind the van there is actually restrooms in the future. So that would not be clear see-through windows. And then the far one continues to be a rehearsal and meeting hall. And currently we leave open quite often, right? So.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director. Other questions and comments? Mr. Julick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm in full support of that whole initiative. I think this is really what this theater needs. And I really appreciate the thinking about the opacity and very much think that I hate to call it static, but you know what I'm talking about, both the LED and the images, that kind of unstated elegance that comes with with eschewing razzle dazzle.
Right. Exactly.
So I really appreciate that.
Eschewing razzle dazzle.
That's sensitive. You can, put it in the brochure. But I want to talk about the trees and the streetscape, because I think it's obviously something that is on a lot of people's minds. And again, in line with Mr. Strickland's comments, I think removing the trees is essential. I mean, we really have to. And I would go so far as to say, I don't know that the vestigial low landscape beds are necessarily the right approach. I would prefer this to really be thought of as a plaza that's also an extension of that identity. I don't know what that is, but that would be to you guys. But I think the benches that I see in the rendering is a good start. I think that a way to have a more three-dimensional presence that not only isn't going to be trampled, but this is the door to the theater. This is the entrance. I think it wants to feel like at least a sidewalk or a plaza that maybe has some color and texture in the ground plane that you feel, and I think would be in the spirit of the rest of the treatment of the ground plane of Gordon Square, but distinctively about CPT, that I think in all the dimensions, especially I'm excited about these LED windows, especially if they are images of people. Yeah. I think that's great. But I think that ground plane has the potential to really let that space be even more enveloping, either to passersby or to patrons at the theater waiting for that option. I don't know what it is, but full support and no trees, and would recommend no landscaping.
So last time you recommended that we actually studied the entire streetscape from, of the entire campus, which we really like that, and we intend to do that. Obviously, this project can't support all of that, but I think those comments you just made about even just this area and how it could be more a part of the life of the theater on the street and kind of accommodate a mini plaza there. I think that those are also very good comments.
Well, thank you.
really excited about this direction and initiative and where you're taking it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Julik. I will do my comments next. Overall, I am in support of this project. I think it's, a wonderful direction. And really trying to bring better presence to something that is a hidden gem. So I really do like the direction overall for the development, or the proposal, I should say. Related to the landscaping, I would agree with Mr. Julik's comments and Mr. Strickland's. I can support the removal of the trees to provide that visibility, and do agree something like a bench or seating. I won't say a bench, but seating could be appropriate. I just, the meet me here, benches that used to be in front of the stadium. I think they were removed, right, with the renovation. I don't think they're still there. Or the new installation right around the corner at the convention center that, the driver by, does see the Cleveland, sort of tagline. Is there a way to make this an extension of the artistic campus that you have that does really draw, both the occupant of a car and the pedestrian to the theater, and bring some of that out to the front? In addition, in a balanced way, as director had said, that you're not fighting all the different things that you're trying to do in this little area. Related to the LEDs, film, I think this is a very creative way to provide that visibility to the mission inside the building that is also reversible. I'm assuming that is a film on the interior, so that that can be reversible. So I'm in support of it. The contents, though, and I'll get there in a second, is great to hear a little bit more, but will ask Mr. Musson here in a second, just for clarifications. My only sort of weird catch up or hang up is this LED strip across the two buildings. I don't really see how that's really adding to your project. It seems erroneous to me. I do support the new signage, the new blade sign, even the additional LED signs on the marquee, if it is a more stagnant signage that has a timed changing to it. So is it every, 120 seconds, it changes, so every 2 minutes, so that everybody gets some, or 5 minutes, everyone gets some visibility, but it's not fighting any motion that may happen here. And I guess that's also, are the LEDs, are they motion activated, or are they stagnant for a year, with the brochure imagery, or are they changing? That's I guess would love to have more information on that. But it is, this LED strip seems a little erroneous to me, that I don't really see how it's tying. It's not that red thread that's tying your buildings together. I think your LED film is doing that. So it just seems a little erroneous to me. I think that is it. And then, it really is just how to move this forward. I think I'm really in support of it, but having some of this stuff documented on the LED film and the changeability of the signs, I don't know if I can support the approval today without having it submitted to us so that we have it part of our record. That's my only hang up. I'm in support of the project, but I'm down to the, approval process. I personally am leaning towards tabling you so that you could submit all that to us, and then we can get it part of our record, so then we can just approve without any, a laundry list of conditions that we have to submit. Have to be submitted, sorry.
Sorry, Madam Chair. I was kind of struggling with that too. I think from what you're hearing, everyone's in support of this, but there are a lot of those details that we typically have, especially for signage, before it gets an approval. Like the rendering up here looks great, but what are the faces of those signs? Are they flat Lexan? Are they aluminum faced with push through? Are they channel letters? Those kinds of details are important and are something we usually have. So it's almost like an approval of the plan with all of the details to come back, which doesn't seem like much of an approval. I guess, do you guys have funding issues that you need an approval to kind of go out and get money? Is that the driver?
It's more complicated, and thank you for asking, and please allow me to reply. So first of all, I think you're all aware of the extreme lag time that the city of Cleveland seems to have around issuing permits. The church project, which you all approved with, I think, almost unanimously, was in permitting for over 5 months and sat on the examiner's desk for 2.5 months. I need the project to be substantially complete by next year's pandemonium, or my operations for that fiscal year are threatened. So if this gets pushed down another month, 2 months, we're figuring out what is this LED screen, which agreeably is sort of on us, and it's actually on me because I've rejected several things that have come forward for the very reasons that you have all listed. So my fear is this gets kicked down the road, and we would like to break ground in April, and suddenly we're looking at, if we're going to look at a 5 or 6 month process again, and we can't get this issued for permit, et cetera, et cetera. Second, this is all tied to new market tax credits. So we're hoping we're really rushing, and Maruce Brothers has been pretty phenomenal at working with us on this. We're trying to close the deal before the end of this fiscal year. So returning to operations is going to be critical for a whole bunch of financial reasons and cash flow reasons. So if this gets pushed back too much further, that would have some pretty big operational financial repercussions for the theater. So that's my fear. Am I happy to come back here again? Of course. Is there some middle ground? Is there some way we can work with staff? Is there some way we can, I don't know. I don't know what middle ground is available, but it's just, it's been hard for me to sort of witness Maruce Brothers, who's highly connected, is not, and the struggles they've had just to get a permit for something that this body approved, right?
Well, we are one step, but not the final. We're more the final step, not the beginning step to permit.
Almost more the first.
The
step.
first step.
Yeah. So when you actually apply for the permit, we are the first stop before
But
zoning.
we could
or
get
anything
you
else.
back on the agenda as soon as 2 weeks.
Normally, yes,
But
but
the end of the
with
year.
it being the end of the year, the next meeting falls on Thanksgiving, so we only have one more meeting this year, and that is December 11th. So it's a month away, and then we're into 2026. So I can appreciate their concerns, and I mean, staff certainly has experience working with signage. If the commission wanted to move forward with an approval and staff kind of finalizing the details, I would just ask for a good amount of guidance and clarification. Like, what do you guys want to see? We can ensure that happens, but right now we don't even know what the materials are, and that leaves a lot of leeway. So I'll leave that to you guys. And then
But
the
if we do
variances are
approve-
another issue too, because we don't know. So if you don't essentially make a blanket approval of all signage code variances, they'd be going to Board of Zoning Appeals, most likely for. We don't know how zoning and will interpret those LED panels, but I'm guessing just the amount of signage, it's going to need a variance on signage. But if the LED panels are considered signage as well, then they're going to be even more over the allowable amount.
Who makes that
Have
determination?
you done have you done the zoning review yet?
No, typically that would be the first step when we file for permit, which typically occurs after this approval.
Right. Yeah.
Just split the difference.
It's-
Started at the same time.
Yeah, it's a constant discussion of which come first. So we usually ask the zoning folks for feedback on proposals, and they typically get us to that, and then we pass it on. That's how we know like the specific variances that are being requested. I don't know that we have like the measured drawings of the details of those signage to be able to get those numbers now. So I think any variance granted by you guys would be a blanket variance, but there still might be other steps if the projecting sign needs legislation, or I don't know if there are PRO issues that are separate from signage code that would require going to Board of Zoning Appeals. So There may be additional process. even if
Madam
they
Chair.
instead issue a variance.
First, apologize and recognize the time that it took you to get through our process before. We're working very, very we're in a very applied process to improve our permitting cycle overall and are very close to launching a new process that should be much more transparent and smooth. So thank you for hanging in there with us. Improvements are in the works. I do wonder, and I'll defer to you, Secretary, but I think that there is some opportunity to proceed in parallel here. Your next steps for the permit would be that zoning review and having those more detailed plans filed with our zoning administrator as one of the first steps before going through the building and housing review. It does seem like having that information to come back to this commission for variance approvals would potentially be the most streamlined way to work through the process rather than potentially invoking BZA or something like that. I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't do those two things in parallel given the time constraints, and that Landmarks Commission is on both Thanksgiving and Christmas this year.
Yes.
I mean, it seems to me hearing this that the next step overall is to come with a more detailed and very specific plan to the city for review. And that permit review and landmarks approval can happen in parallel.
And I just, sorry.
But so you're favoring to make or move forward with, continue with the review of the case, or to table it to allow them to submit it? I guess I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear to what you're saying in parallel.
I believe that this commission will be able to offer a cleaner and ultimately more smooth process through the system, a cleaner approval if we have all the details. So I am recommending tabling so that we can offer a very clean motion of approving the specific application.
Okay, thank you for that feedback, Director.
I just have a clarification question. Maybe this is for Dan. I believe we can submit for permit while we're still going through this process because we have our permit drawings actually ready to submit tomorrow. So we'll move ahead with that. We'll pull together, more detailed drawings of the signage, size, scope, materials, all that stuff. And then will we come to you for that? Will we come back here for just for that portion? What will be that next step?
That's up to the commission. I mean, if depending on if you get tabled or they grant some sort of approval today, but I would recommend, if you have your permit drawings ready, get those submitted, get that process rolling. It'll come to our office first, but we can try and work with the zoning people on getting things moving forward. Yeah, parallel review. So yeah, it's really up to the commission and their comfort level as to, whether they're comfortable with providing staff with enough guidance to be able to move you forward, or if they want you to come back with those details before they're comfortable with you actually moving forward.
Okay, thank you. All right. Other questions or comments, Mr. Dulick?
Yeah, I know in the past, although it's been more to move forward from schematic review into final review, we've sometimes formed a subcommittee just so that it isn't burden on staff to be responsible for making those determinations. I don't know if that would be an option to explore. I mean, just given the dearth of meetings to come back to until December.
Yeah, and this might be more of a question for Ms. Lipscomb. Like, can the commission grant a subcommission the authority to grant a final approval?
So, hello, I'm Sarah Lipscomb from the Law Department. From my understanding and just from being here in prior meetings, that has been the case in unique circumstances. But it's really up to the commission, if it wants to make that decision. But yeah, there's nothing in the landmarks code provision that says you can't do that. So it's completely up to you.
Are we concerned about a heavy agenda on December 11th?
I think that's very likely, given that it's only one a month. It'll probably be a pretty
Would we be interested in a special meeting given the November and December schedules?
I mean, we could explore that. There's also, Mr. Dulick's option, which would be more of a subcommittee, not getting
Essentially, a
everyone
special
together.
meeting for
A
some of
special
us.
meeting, yeah, for some of you. Yes, yeah. So six and one, a half dozen the other, maybe.
Mr. Julick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think the goal is to be able to get this through the process per the applicant's heavily constrained timeline. So the subcommittee, to the degree that we could actually bring in the folks at the city that can help us through all the zoning and other issues, seems to me to be maybe more efficient. I guess it really is up to the comfort of my fellow commissioners with that. And I'm only suggesting it in light of the fact that there seems to be a positive consensus, and the devil's on our shoulder again, right? At this time, he's taking his sweet old time, and I think that's what's making it the devil in this case. So
Right. Let me read the conditions or the clarifications that I have noted to see, and if that helps us decide. Because I'm a writer to help me make sure I don't miss things. What I have heard that we would need to continue moving this forward as a requirement, or before we make a ruling, would be final cut sheets on the LED film. Modification of the location of that film from to being just in the storefront only and not in the transoms. Scale drawings and specs on all signage, marquee signs, along with LED signs on the marquee, blade sign, I'm sorry, and marquee signage for clarification. Clarification of the content of the LED film to assure that it's just business related and not advertisement related, and if it is moving or static. Same thing, sorry. So details of operation on the LED screens to validate or to confirm, what the operation timing will be and content. And then mine was just here, removal or study of that LED strip to see if that's needed. So those are what I've noted. So we just have to either feel comfortable with all of that going back to staff, or tabling it to a special meeting or the next meeting, or a special committee meeting, which is a special meeting. I would agree with that it's basically, tabling it for now until either we can have that information and then have a special meeting, or put them on the next agenda. We're about to that. So those are the items I may have missed something, but that's what I've heard us talk about so far that we would need to be able to get approval. To me, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 items that are in question here. Mr. Strickland?
I have a question for the applicant with regard to those conditions and requirements that you outlined. One was limiting the LED film to the lower portion of the glazing and eliminating the transom. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I think it's a really good call, actually. I think it's going to look better, and it's going to be more cost effective anyway. So I think it's a good choice.
And the opacity or the inverse transparency of that film, we have questions regarding that as well. And to me, that's the biggest issue that I think we need to really have an understanding of. I feel the other issues, I feel very comfortable that staff could deal with those effectively in terms of mounting details and materials. It's just the how that LED film is going to look. It's,
And where is it all gonna be the same or is it gonna be different? Is it gonna be transparent where the windows are and then more opaque on the other? And, is your content gonna be the same or different across? I think that's just, I love the idea, but the execution, right? The devil is in the details of, will it be consistent? Is it gonna be varied, and so forth? So that's
If-
why I'd love to know more about it.
Question. Does this body approve murals before they have been created?
We do not review the content of the mural, but the installation and something like this, which is LED,
So is this a,
classification of the content is probably what I would say. So it's not the art itself, but it has to be assured that it is not advertisement. Because then you go into a different,
Heard.
category of review and approval that we can give and we cannot give.
Understood. So if there was no lettering, and wouldn't this really be more of a public art piece? Regardless of whether it's moving or not, aren't we really talking about a work of art here?
You're an LED screen. So you can change that work of art. It's not a static piece of art. It is a digital piece of art, which then goes into a different category.
Heard.
So you're crossing a bunch of different things and we're trying to merge them together, but that's why we need the details to be able to make sure that and we set precedents. We want to make sure that we are giving you the appropriate approvals and provides in the guardrails for the district and the city itself as this continues to move on. So that's what I am personally struggling with because we're merging across without having the details. We don't know exactly what category we're putting. Our approval would be in the final installation are they aligned?
That makes a lot of sense to me. And it's the constant challenge of working for an organization like Cleveland Public Theater that's innovative, is that all of our projects end up being somehow not fitting all the processes that have been put forward. So this is sounding very familiar. I do view it as an artwork, but I'm also going to say to you, if you told us we're coming in front of you with exact specs on December 11th for the LED screen, I'm not convinced we can get there. So I went and visited the screen. I had to take a big trip out of my way in the middle of a conference to see the screen in action. I was not happy with what I saw, so I'm just being super transparent. And I said, I need to see another application because it was not eschewing razzle dazzle. And part of it had to do with the graphic itself, but I really need to see the screen in action. So I'm taking several trips and we're trying to find places where I can see it, but I'm just being transparent that.
I think the specs that we're looking for is, probably the guardrails of operation too. Materiality, yes, it is this, and it will probably have a X amount of transparency to it. And the content would be, as you said here, is it just the materials in what did you call
The brochure.
your yearly brochure? And is it going to be that content is going to be the only content for the entire year? Or are you planning on changing that content so we just need it all in writing so that, we have it part of our,
Yes.
files, for lack of a better word, and that it's, it sets us all up for success. But that's truly not the content itself, but giving examples of what you envision it so that as you move forward and we move forward, we're aligned.
Great.
So, Director?
I wonder from a process standpoint, since it seems like the main uncertainties are around the film and exactly how it be applied, if it would make sense to pull that element out of your package right now, because those details will also be required for your zoning review. And if everything else could go through that you have certainty about and be rolling, so you can come back when you do have certainty around the LED screens, that might move you through quicker. Because my concern is this element is not just holding us up, it's going to hold you up at the zoning as well.
So make that sort of a distinct
We could do that.
process separate from this, so that.
Yeah, I think from the conversation here, we're all comfortable giving a certificate of appropriateness to everything except the storefront window treatments.
Static signage.
And understanding that both landmarks and zoning will require more details than maybe you'll have within the next month anyway, and you want to get the other stuff going. Just an idea.
And the rest of the permit can move forward without it. Yep. Okay, great. That sounds great.
Okay. I could support that. I think that is the LED screens are the biggest hang up in here. So that's a great suggestion. Thank you, Director. Any additional comments or would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the project as presented with specific requirements that the applicant provide details regarding
Scaled drawings for all static signage and LED signage on the marquee with specifications,
material.
right, the sizes and materials. Consideration for removal of the LED strip, details of operations on LED screens on the sides of the marquee. And
Eliminate the LED film in the transom windows.
removing the LED film, but I would say we are not approving the LED film at this time.
Right.
So the LED film will have to come back for future approval, in the future for
And we
approval.
would support any sign variances that we're able to approve.
That are required for the projecting sign, the marquee, and the banners on the east elevation.
Support those variances.
And I guess.
So that would all be presented to staff
Yes.
for approval.
Yeah, and I would just ask for clarification, I guess, I don't know if you want to give a second first, just on as far as the details and materiality of the marquee and the projecting sign. Do you guys want to see something more substantial, like with channel letter signs, or is an aluminum face with push through sufficient, or like, I mean,
I'm comfortable having staff.
Really staff,
review that.
okay, all right.
So we have a motion on the table with conditions. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, I will second.
Thank you, Mr. Dulick. We have a second. Any further discussion? That enough? Okay. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Director Mersman?
Yes.
Mr. Sambry?
Yes.
Mr. Strickland?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trout?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right. Well,
Thank
good
you
luck.
so much.
Congratulations.
Thanks for
We
the
look forward to
consideration.
seeing you back with the LED screen or film information.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep, pretty good.
Okay, I'll give it to you. All right, we will then move on to our fifth applicant, located at 890 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, the African American Final Garden Plan.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? This is Dan Bickerstaff.
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with the camera, but my camera is on. But nevertheless, thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Appreciate the opportunity to present this project, this labor of love before you guys for a third time. We obtained our initial approval in 2015, and then again in 2022, and we're before you today. The rationale, and I believe Carl Ewing, which is what the president of the organization, the African American Cultural Garden Society, is on the line as well. And we've all been working on this project tirelessly and endlessly. Next slide, please. So this gives you a sense of where we come from with the overall design, representing our past, present, and future. Being the doorway of no return, being located on Wheelock Avenue to the west, basically 30 feet above MLK Boulevard. We've since scaled back the project, and I'm really proud that we were able to maintain the integrity of the design intent. So you can see in 2020, our rationale was to provide a temporary solution, finalizing the platform for the present pavilion, but allowing for the other elements to be added at a future date. After a meeting with Mayor Bibb, he indicated that he wanted to see the project completed in its entirety. And we're now before you 2025 to really move forward and get the enthusiasm back going for this project and potentially add future elements in the future. So you can see 2025 is quite similar to our temporary solution in 2020, but we are undergirding the infrastructure more soundly with concrete slabs and bases for the pavers, et cetera. Next. These images give you a sense of what exists to date. We have the doorway of no return, the corridors of no return, which are the black granite walls, angled walls representing allowing one individual to pass through that space at a time. So they're simulating what it may, our forefathers may have experienced going through those portals before embarking along the middle passage. So you can see the aerial views via drone, our robust and substantial landscaping at the past pavilion. And so let's just give you a sense of the neighborhood context and where the project stands today. Next. So this would be our design at completion, maybe spring, early summer next year. Maintaining obviously the past pavilion, creating a step-tiered grass area leading from the past to the present, establishing our 50 by 50 platform dais, where we always intended for various functions to take place, various ramps and sidewalk access points, both north and south, and then our ADA ramp down the center. You know, obviously the blue simulates the border feature that we initially planned. In this construction approach, we would be installing some infrastructure that could be augmented at a later date to allow our water features to function as we intended. And again, moving down from the ramp in the center, we have our future pavilion with, again, robust landscaping along the pathways and around the seat walls. Next, please. We have a measured site plan indicating the contours and how we are looking to orient this component of the design. What's interesting about the site is we chose this angle because of the natural amphitheater effect of the site. And again, it's a very interesting approach. One would think it's basically perpendicular to Willock, but it is perpendicular to MLK. Next is there's detailed site plans. Again, more of the same, identifying material. One of the interesting things is the tiered step component leading from the past pavilion. That's been detailed, whereby, you know, youth and maybe me, if I'm encouraged to do so, could actually navigate that 12-foot wide by 3-foot tall tiered landscaping component down to the present pavilion. As you can see, we have our ADA ramp, where we have 2 sets of landings as you move down or move up the ramp. So you can navigate and move from the future pavilion to the present pavilion unassisted if you're ambulatory individual. Next. We've identified the materiality for our pavers. This depicts our bollards around the perimeter of the walkway. The committee decided to move forward with the North Star engraving and the Little Dipper, given the fact that it allows so many of our ancestors to flee the south to the north and was a guiding light for that excursion. Next. Elevations and sections through the ramp. As you can see in the upper image, we have the door of no return and the corridors of no return that are complete. The tiered steps down to the present platform and the railing. We've removed the masonry piers that we had at the landings, and basically this is all railing components that leads you from the present to the future. And you can see the details and dimensions for such. Next. The future pavilion, this is a composition drawing indicating the plan and how it will be developed, the size of the granite seat walls, and the materiality on the perimeter of the seat walls being the split face sandstone, the actual water feature that will be constructed, but the infrastructure will be limited to conduits for drainage and water supply only. And this gives a good sense of how all those materials tie together. Next. So again, this is a 3D rendering of the latest phase from the tiered grass lawn components all the way to MLK, which we're looking to start construction. Plans are going to be submitted to the city building department December 1st. Next. And I think that might be it. Oh, yeah, sheet indicating the materials. Basically, we're capturing the same materials that we utilized in the past pavilion, split face, sandstone, as well as smooth. We're now incorporating the black caps for our seat walls, as well as the spillway along the ADA ramp. And this picture on the left illustrates the actual doorway of no return along Wheelock Avenue. So you get a sense of how those materials play together from a texture point as well as color. Our walkway, the Richcliffe Dawn Mist, flanking the ADA ramp leading to the platform, and then the Unilock pavers that will be composed of the ramp and the already existing in the platform area in the future pavilion. Next. Oh, I don't really need to get into the technical details about the electrical system that we're looking to employ for our lighting, but at this point, I would like to share, just a video of what we anticipate how it will look. If I can do that, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I don't know that we have the capacity to share a video. Sorry.
Okay, no problem, not a problem. Okay, well, that concludes the presentation, and I think I'll entertain any questions, comments, concerns.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Before we get to our comments, we will review the Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Tom, do you want to give us feedback from the foundation?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Tom Turkley. I'm the Executive Director of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation. We did review this through our Design and Review Committee. It got its approval, and then it had its full approval by our executive board. It has its full support from the Federation. We're looking forward to this phase of their garden finally coming to fruition. We believe it's going to be a great addition, not only to their garden, helping connect the phase one with a gate of no or portal of no return down to Martin Luther King, adding some great visibility to their garden. So that was basically my report. It just has our full support.
Excellent, thank you. Then we'll move on to Landmarks Commission, Landmark staff recommendation. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think staff agrees with the Federation. This proposal fits the overall master plan. We're excited to see it move forward. This is a previously approved project, just sort of the final details and some changes to something that was previously approved that, we're supportive.
All right.
Recommend approval.
Excellent. Then we will open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. Who'd like to start us off? I will start us off, I guess. I think the revisions to the master plan, to me, are fairly, although not exactly what we originally approved, I think they're aligned with the approach and for the overall, installation, materiality, The only question I have is related to the areas in yellow that is shown for your seat walls. I guess I'm just unclear what material that is when we look at your material board. Is that the sandstone?
Correct. It's the same sandstone as the doorway of no return.
Got it.
B1 and B2.
Excellent. Thank you. So overall, I'm in full support of the project. Since we have seen this a few times, I think it's, I'm appreciate and excited to see this, continue on and get completed.
Great.
Other questions and comments from the commission?
Yes, hi, Madam Chair. Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I am also in full support of this historical project that I know they've been working on such a long time, and also along with council as well. So we are in full support of this awesome historical monument that's finally going to take place and be completed. In this area of this historical of the Cleveland landmark. So that's it.
Dr. Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to go on record as saying that I am also in support of the approval of this project. Certainly, there have been several designs and this has been a long time coming, but I'm especially pleased to see that there are elements that are in keeping with the original design that was approved. I love the sort of amphitheater there in the grass on the hill. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful. And even especially perhaps in the materials that connect the present and future with the door of no return in the past. I like the idea of moving forward. So happy to see again that the project is also moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Any further questions or comments? Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wasn't here for the first go arounds of the presentation, but I am really excited by sort of this sort of iteration, and I think it's going to be a really great way to finish off this incredible garden. I have a couple of just clarifying questions around some of the other materials. So in so first, is the orientation of the Little Dipper? It's shown in a couple different orientations between this rendering that we're seeing and then the plan. Can you clarify? Sort of which orientation is it intended, and does that also reflect sort of the orientation of the Little Dipper in the sky? Or is there some reason for the orientation?
Yeah, that's a great catch. It's not this particular orientation. It is reflective of its existing positioning. If you can go back a couple slides to a plan, I believe. There, this is the orientation that it will be located with some simulation of other stars on the platform.
That's great. Thank you. The drawings call out for that upper platform to be either polished concrete or granite. Is there a determination on which material?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Apologies for mentioning that. The optimum solution and what we plan for, you can see with these 5 by 5 foot squares, is the application of polished granite. That's currently not in our budget. So we're planning with the end in mind, and we're going to apply or utilize polished concrete and with this particular engraving. So, and then also apply a very fine non-slip texture material on that polished granite. So
Okay, thank you. And then one final clarification question. So the spillway uh, uh, between this upper plaza and then the lower area, is that also the black granite or the black concrete? Or what material is that?
The actual spillway will be a blue tile. It's on the photograph, but if you can go to the plan, go back some, whomever is operating this. Couple sheets back. Is this the spillway down the center of the ramp? Yes. That would be a blue tile, actually, to simulate water. So, and again, we're providing our infrastructure, piping and conduits to that central location so that in the future, once funds are available, and we'll also provide a control and expansion joints so that portion of the concrete can be removed and replaced with the water feature supply component.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the clarification there. I guess my one comment with that would be, or question would be, I think there's something really interesting about the materiality of that dark material sort of reaching from the stars and running down that area. And if the water does come into play in the future, I think that there's something really interesting about how the play of light and the play of that material as a connecting piece, from the upper plaza down, maybe something really interesting, and it becomes more of a textural experiential than it is a sort of literal sort of coloration of the tile. But that said, I'm in support of whatever direction that comes into play here.
And Chris, that's a very good point. One in which the design team, focused on. At the spillway, there's a vertical 1 foot, almost trench containing. So on those walls, we're going to have these caps, and the caps are black, and the caps on the seat walls are black as well. So if you go back to the material board, go forward several slides. Yes, right there. You see the dark charcoal image, basically in the middle. That sandstone. So that full wall cap will be the black cap coming down from the present pavilion down to the future, flanking the spillway.
Gotcha, understood. Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Mr. Lozier. Any other questions or comments? Hearing fairly consistent alignment and support. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move for approval as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Motion second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Mustin, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Director Mersman?
Yes.
Mr. Sambry?
Yes.
Mr. Strickland?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. Congratulations. We look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing your project continue to move forward.
Apologies, I couldn't be in there in person. I was a bit under the weather. Thank you.
Hope you feel better.
All right.
We'll then move on to our next applicant located at 9615 Lorraine Avenue, new signage for Kim's Caribbean Kitchen.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This is Aldo from BNext Design. I'm going to be presenting the project for Kim's Caribbean Kitchen.
Welcome. Please proceed.
Yes, we can go to the next page, please. Okay, we are proposing a channel letter. It's going to be mounted on the right side of the restaurant. And that's going to be channel letter, internally illuminated with LEDs. You guys can see the day view and night view, sun dimensions. Next page, please. We can see before and after. That's how the building looks, and that's how the sign will look on the building. Next page. We can see dimensions. We can see anchoring, how that sign will be anchored to the wall. Some square footage, top view. Next page, please. We also have an existing pole sign that we're going to be refacing. You guys can see the day view and night view and dimensions. Next page, please. And that's the site plan in relationship, the building relationship with Lorraine Avenue and location of the sign. Next page. We can see surrounding signage in the area. And that completes the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the presentation. We will then move on to our Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Historic West Cleveland Design Review Advisory Committee on the 5th. There was a lot of discussion about the change of sign location from the existing sign along the Lorraine side of the building to the parking lot side, noting it's a different approach and kind of concerns on visibility. The building has canopies that overextend that may block that signage. The extent is unknown of how much it would block it, how visible it would be from the pedestrian level or from cars, and kind of the consistency of signage along Lorraine. So there's a lot of discussion about that, noting that there is a green kind of neon-like band that goes around the current signage that should be retained and used with this, incorporated into this new design to kind of retain that element on the building. There was consistent discussion on the pole sign. If it is currently used, then if you're going to put new pole sign or new face on there, there's discussion on that phone number. Could it go elsewhere? It takes a bit away from the design of the sign, and so minimize if possible. Overall, they did recommend the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness with conditions that a sightline study be submitted to staff to show the pedestrian visibility of the new sign location, and recommendations to minimize the phone number on the pole sign and study retention of that green element existing across the top.
All right, thank you. And then we'll move on to landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just I guess, bit of history on this one. This building and its previous signage that I guess is still up went through the structural renovation program back in 2021. The Landmarks Commission saw this case as case 20-047 back in September of 2020, and they denied the use of the pole sign. This is under the same contractor applicant, but I guess we have concerns that the pole sign is also on a separate parcel, so it might be considered off-site premise or off-premise advertising. We agree with local that a sight line study would be appropriate because there is that canopy that might block the view from the western approach if the sign is only on the west elevation, and also feel that you're losing all eastern elevation visit or westbound traffic visibility if you move the sign from the front of the building to the side. And as far as the phone number goes, we typically do not allow phone numbers on signage. That's something that we ask that an applicant put on a band in their window or somewhere else if it's needed, but typically not on the actual signage. And then just some question of clarification. These are cloud letters, correct? Although not channel, like individual channel letters, it's a cloud being proposed.
That's correct.
Okay. Yes, I guess staff just has issues, most of which are with the use of the I guess the previously denied pole sign. But the sign itself on the building, I think, with some extra details and some more study, we feel could be appropriate, but have reservations about the pole sign.
All right, thank you. Then we will open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. I'd like to start us off. Mr. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll ask Dan for a clarification. How did the pole sign get installed if it was not approved?
Yes, through the chair, this is a previously existing pole sign. It's been there for a number of years.
So it's just refaced?
It was, yes, it was proposed to be, yes, as a pole sign, it was grandfathered in. The proposed refacement of it back in 2021 was denied. It's sort of through the storefront renovation program, they kind of said, you can't use this, you have to take it down. And the commission sort of denied the reuse of the pole sign, so.
All right, so thank you for that clarification. But, and I agree with the recommendations that the sightline study is certainly appropriate, given the depth of that overhang and how I think it's likely to obscure the sign unless you're pretty far away from the facility. And, but I don't have any problem with moving it if that seems to be the optimum position for the applicant. And I would agree that the phone number should not be on that pole sign, but it's certainly appropriate to reface it if there's a different tenant in the space. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Other questions and comments from the commission? Mr. Stanberry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on Google Earth, it does not look like that area is going to be obscured. But I don't have any major concerns about not being able to see it. I guess the location on the side of the building versus the front of the building is preference of the owner. And probably not my choice, but if that's what the owner wanted to location placement, I have no objection to it. And then as far as the standalone sign, I guess I would defer to whatever legislation or ordinances we have in place on whether or not that is considered part of the site or not.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stanberry.
Thank you.
Other questions and comments from the commission? Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a thought along the lines. It looks like the existing sign that's actually on Lorraine pops up above the line, the top line of the facade of the building. Maybe some of the visibility concerns could be addressed by considering moving it up. I think it actually creates a little bit of a punctuation on the facade, and actually I think is appropriate if that was an option the owner wanted to explore, if this is their preferred signage location. It might not only address that, but I think it gives it actually a little more visibility by not having it bound by the upper facade there. Thank you.
So I'm interested by that comment because if it would move up, I think they've done a good job with trying to coordinate with that detail and centering the sign on the detail so that it at least respects the, sort of division in that parapet area. If it would move up, I guess we'd have to coordinate it so that it's appropriate. It's either proud of it or, or you stay centered on it. Or sits above it and so forth. But I would agree with Mr. Stanberry's, comments that, I don't have an issue with it on the side or the front. It's really the owner's preference. I think it can work in either location. Their door is on the corner, so it works both ways, it looks like. Oh, so they have a front and a back door. So I think it's really their preference. I would continue to not support the pole sign because, you know, we are trying to move away from that, and especially if it's on a separate parcel, it opens up, you know, other issues with that. So overall, I can support the main sign on the building, and it can support it being working with staff for the final location, either where shown or moved in up to have better visibility, but I do not support the pole sign. Any additional questions or comments from Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize if this was already addressed, but that banding that is existing on that side view, it looks like it might be light fixtures, and it's proud of the metal panel, you know, the facade behind it. Is the intent to remove those sections of that and then apply the signage directly to the aluminum facade, or how is that being handled?
Would the applicant like to respond to that? In the corner. If you're responding, you're muted. Mr. Dewar. Mr. Dewar, if you are responding to the question, you are muted. All right, well, it looks like we might have some technical issues, so
Can we unmute him?
They can mute himself, but we can't forcibly unmute someone.
right?
No.
No. All right.
He's having some issues.
Okay, so he's having some issues. So Mr. Lozier, did you have additional questions or comments? Or is that?
Yeah, just one more. So with the removal of the existing sign, I just want to make sure that whatever is left over there is patched and repaired, so that it, whatever that material is, so that it reflects not that the sign was there previously.
I'm sorry, guys. I got disconnected. I'm back. I didn't hear what you guys were saying.
I think the question to you was reviewing the imagery that is up on the screen right now. It appears that the banding that I was referring to, that it looks like you've centered your lights, is actually probably an like a neon or some type of light fixture that's there. Is it your intentions to remove that light fixture before you put up your signage?
Yeah, we're gonna remove that. That's the existing neon that was there before, that's there right now. And we're mounting the new cloud channel letter on the fascia, correct?
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess to clarify too, are you just removing those lights in the area of the new sign, or that band in its entirety?
We're removing entirely.
Okay, so what we're seeing here, that sort of green band to the left and right should also be removed. So you would see just the sort of the aluminum colored fascia on
Correct.
all sides of the building. Okay.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Mr. Lozier. Anything else?
And then just to reiterate my other comment about with the removal of the existing sign, making sure that you're patching or repairing the aluminum fascia that's existing behind it.
Yes, that will be done. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Lozier. Any additional questions or comments, or would someone like to put forward a motion? Ms. Anderson?
Yeah, I have some questions regarding the pole sign. So the pole sign was there from a long time ago. It was grandfathered, but now that it's not in use, we denied continuing to use it. Would they be allowed to replace it with a monument sign as long as they didn't put a phone number on it?
A ground mounted monument sign to meet the
Yeah.
current requirements?
Yeah, would that be allowed?
I think we'd have to evaluate it for code, but I think, if this commission were fine with it, it would still have the issue of being on a separate parcel potentially as offsite advertising. I think that the issue with the pole sign, there was, I don't know if it was originally back in the early 2000s, there was a pole sign that was a lot of neon and very sculptural. And then that was removed in 2021, I think, when this case came through, or this building came through last for its signage. And I don't know all of the details of why the pole sign was denied to be reused, but at that point, the signage was removed from the pole sign, so it's just a pole. And then it looks like sometime between now and then, they installed framing for signage, and I think there was some lighting up in there at some point too. So I don't know, the legality of that. I don't know that it's still grandfathered in any case, since it hasn't been continually used, and since the signage has been removed, it's essentially just a pole. So I think there's a lot of questions around that.
Now, it's on a separate parcel, but is that parcel like their parking lot as part of the complex?
Yes, can I speak to that subject? Yeah, the whole the restaurant is the anchor business, and 95% of that parking space belongs to the restaurant. There's another business on the other side that basically I would say that that's the only place that has parking space. I mean, there's other restaurants, other places that, in that area, between 98 and 95th, that's the only, besides the laundromat down the street, Corinos. But that business, the owner really is, strictly relies on that sign, on the existing pole sign that's there. I will say that we can take the phone number out and just keep it, more simple. But the owner is really counting on that. That's a new business. I mean, he emphasized it to us that he really wants to advertise that with that sign up there. And obviously, there's 5 parcels, but the business, that's the parking space for the restaurant.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue on.
So we really want to seek approval for that refacing. That pole, like Dan said, was there for many years. I believe in 2001, they took that sign to repair, and that sign was put back up. There was no face or any signage, but that business went out of business. Now we have a new tenant, a new business there, and obviously we want to utilize that pole sign. A monument sign there, I don't think it's going to be appropriate. It's going to be too low. And, he's afraid that people are going to vandalize it. There's a lot of activities, illegal activities in that area still. So I wouldn't suggest. I mean, I drive Lorraine every day. We do a lot of, awnings, a lot of signs in the area. And that area is still, upcoming, but it's not there yet.
So I think the issue that we have, there's like a few different fronts, is that that's on a different parcel, and it is not consolidated with the parcel that the signage and your case number is associated with. So that has to be reviewed separately regardless. So I think it probably makes sense to have an offline with Mr. Musson to help clarify, what the opportunities are for that signage, since the properties are not consolidated. So it's not one parcel, you're actually talking about 2. And that's part of the issues that we're talking about, because it puts it in a different classification. It's not on-premise signage, it's off-premise signage. So I think at this time, that element should be tabled, related to this case, to allow us to continue to move forward. And you could talk to Mr. Musson, and potentially it's on a separate application and case number to allow it to move forward. But we would also want to clarify if it's grandfathered in anymore, or does it appears that it probably needs to meet today's signage requirements, which would be a ground mounted monument sign versus a pole sign, since there's no signage on it. So I think we have to. We need to
sorry.
sidebar that one and table it at this time because we can't make a ruling on it regardless. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I mean, we have to also understand that these businesses are, starting up, so we need to have some sort of understanding, that obviously the location, I mean, I will invite anybody to go there and be at 7 o'clock in the evening or 5 o'clock in the evening, and you guys can see, maybe you guys are not driving a lot in that area, but I can say, yeah, I don't have no issues come back for that whole time.
So, sir, I don't think we can, I appreciate your perspective on it. And I think we need to talk about this offline, because we cannot vote on it right now because it's not on the current parcel that the case number is associated with. So I recommend that we continue forward on the building signage. And you can contact Mr. Musson offline, and then we can address the street signage associated with the parking lot separately.
Okay.
So with that said, any other questions and comments from the commission, or would someone like to make a motion?
I have just one additional question for the applicant. Looking at other businesses along the corridor, many of them do have signs or advertising in the storefront windows. And I wonder if you talked with the restaurant about that. I know we've talked about the phone number specifically, maybe being relocated to part of the building, but there is more substantial signage in many of the other storefronts along the corridor. And I just wonder if that was part of a discussion.
Yeah, that was discussed, but he's not ready to do that yet. I mean, he's just opened 30 days ago. If it's going to be any graphics in the future, we're going to come back to you guys.
Excellent. All right. Any additional questions or comments, or would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the signage as presented for the building only, with consideration of moving the sign up for greater visibility, or just having a sightline study to confirm that the sign is visible coming eastbound on Lorraine, and that the pole sign be not part of the approval and be given consideration under a different case, since it's a different parcel and different address, and that the parapet be repaired or restored where the old signage and lighting is being removed.
Perfect. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Samberry. We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Hey, Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Lozier,
Yes.
Director Merschman,
Yes.
Mr. Samberry,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trasick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trout.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, congratulations. Your signage on the building has been approved. Please reach out to Mr. Musson for additional conversation on the signage related to the parking lot.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes our certificates of appropriateness. We'll now move on to schematic plan removal or reviews. Sorry, bumbling my words. Our first case is located at 11409 Wade Park Avenue, renovation and addition.
I wasn't sure what the
You
I
have
wasn't
4
sure.
minutes.
I wasn't sure what the over-under was on whether I was going to start with good morning or good afternoon. So happily, it's good morning. Jim J.P. Ptacek with Larson Architects. I see that Rabbi Mendy has been on and off earlier. He's traveling today. So his...
I'm with you in spirit, Jim. I'm with you in spirit.
Timing is timing. So I probably should kick it off to the rabbi to start with, but again, my involvement started in 2016 with this property, and I think many of you have
seen iterations of this project over time. It's been a fantastic journey with the rabbi and his growing family, and to see where this nascent kind of ministry of the Chabad in Case has grown under their stewardship and leadership. So, Rabbi, would you mind sharing a little history, I guess?
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for coming and for staying so long. You know, we're last but not least. Everyone wants to go, but thank you for staying for us. We run a nonprofit organization called Chabad. Chabad is a Jewish group offering Jewish opportunities for people all around the world. So there's thousands of Chabad centers all around the world. I'm actually going to the conference, International Chabad Conference today, which is why I can't make it. Our particular chapter focuses on offering the students at Case Western Reserve and University Circle Jewish opportunities. We welcome them to our home, and we have them for all the holiday dinners, the Sabbath dinners. We have, if you know what like Thanksgiving looks like at your family with like 30, 40, 50 people and everyone and all the kids, well, we do that every week. Every Friday night, we have students, sometimes 60, 50, 60. I'm not going to tell you how many because numbers or whatever, but everyone in our home, and of course our kids around as part of the family. So we live at the corner of Wade Park and 115th, as Jim will show you. And this is nice and fun having everything in our home, and it's beautiful and it's warm and it's exactly what we want, but we're maxed out. And the property next door, as Jim will show you, we want to use that to expand our operation and use it fully functioning as appropriate. We've gone through many iterations of this, and the Jim has done a good job at keeping the neighborhood style as well as the new addition. So he'll share all that with you. We've been here before, and we've learned our lessons, and now we're back. So thanks for having us. Any questions for me?
Not at this time. We'd love to hear your presentation,
Sure.
then we might have questions after that.
Oh, I do have, okay.
There is a dramatic pause from when you push up to when it comes
Oh, okay,
up.
thank you. It's the same house. This, just to orient everyone, we're kind of at the northern edge of Case, on Wade Park. 115th is the cross street to the east at this point. More dramatic pause. This is sort of the context, and does this have a laser as well? Oh, okay. So as you see the red box that describes the footprint of the project, subject project 11409, we were at the stage of presenting this project as a combined residential for the Alevskis to live in, as well as programmatic functions for the Chabad to operate out of. At the point where we were pivoting through BZA, they were magically presented with the opportunity to buy the house that directly adjoins to the east at the back lot. And so the project took a pause. They renovated that home, and that's where they live, and that's now where the Chabad exists right now. They have subsequently, in addition to the 11409 and the house on 115th, they now own, over the 9 or 10 years, 6 other homes that are in the neighborhood and along and dotted along 115th as well. So as they have grown this program, as they have grown the number of people who are arriving, every Friday night, they're really out of space. And so the pivot was, well, we have this lovely home. We really should probably just consider the original concept of this to pivot so that it can actually be this commercial use as this, community space, so that the whole project would focus on that as the primary function of this. And because we're dealing with commercial kitchen spaces, feeding people, the religious, synagogue component of this, that we really should look at this as like, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. This is a duck. We're going to look at this from a commercial lens, and that's kind of where this pivot spun over to. So if I can go through the rest then very quickly. So that was kind of the origin story of where we're at today. These are just some context shots of the existing house. The goal of any iteration that we've touched now subsequent to the original submittal has been, how do we hold on to this home? How do we keep this fabric and this neighborhood context as existing? And so as such, this is sort of the footprint of the existing. We kind of highlighted via the model, the context of 115th, the neighboring property directly west of us is a vacant lot that has been there for some time. This shows the extent of the driveway and the garage. The future plan of this is to take off some of the dormers and the other pieces that were kind of the ins and outs along the back of the house, preserve the primary view, kind of looking from the west side, sort of northeast, the front facade. And then as we look, the garage, the house to the other side limits the view corridor kind of from the east side of the house. But we're trying to be respectful of that condition. We would take down the garage because it's not functionally necessary. This is a walking occupancy at this point to their house now and for the future, but just to create a space where if they do want to set up a tent for the largest gatherings for the holy days and the holidays, they can set up a tent in the back and have that as kind of an open space for it. So what you're seeing is the existing house and then the addition, and then it continues to step back. The rear portion of this that you kind of see in kind of gray and kind of a beige is sort of a rooftop space that they can enjoy as an outdoor second story space, but it steps down visually, you know, in relation to the neighboring house in the back and in context sort of with the adjacent garage. So in essence, we're going to, left side is the basement plan that is going to basically just be maintained as it is. It's a low 7-foot ceiling down there, primarily used for mechanical space. We're going to install common bathrooms, and there'll be a transition down to what will be the synagogue. We're going to reorient everyone for access into the space off of the side driveway. It gives them some added level of security versus maintaining the front door. And then basically allows them to basically transition down via elevator or stair to this kind of gathering space outside the synagogue. There's a second means of egress directly out to the backyard for that space. On the first floor, we're going to basically open up the guts of the existing first floor of the house. That's going to be kind of the communal gathering space for these dinners that they host and any fellowship activities. Stacked condition of bathrooms, the elevator, the communicating stair, both to second and basement and directly out. Kind of an entry lobby off of this new connected vestibule condition that's accessible both by stairs and via ramp. And then kind of the kitchen anchors the rear of this for the kind of commercial kitchen aspect. They can bring goods and services in there to prep meals and then bring them into the dining room. So it's kind of all connected on the first floor. On the second floor, we're going to take apart some of the existing bedroom configurations so that we can create some communal meeting spaces, some private study rooms, the rabbi's space for his office and where he's going to meet and entertain people would be the kind of the left side. So he's going to have a private office and then a meeting room there. Again, we have a matching set of bathrooms, the elevator, the communicating stair, and then this rear access patio space for any festivities, activities that would happen on the second floor as well. And then we're screening all of the kitchen functional aspects, the hoods, any makeup air units will be on that right-hand side where they can be screened both by the Olevsky's current garage and by a partition wall. So we're kind of pushing everything to the east at that point. So in essence, we're preserving the facade as the facade across the front. The back has, you're seeing this lower kitchen from the rear elevation, and then we're intentionally trying to keep that connected volume for the second floor connecting piece lower and less prominent than the existing roof condition to start with. This is sort of where you kind of see the existing context of the first house from the driveway. There was a one-story sunroom porch that we're trying to be respectful by not completely building over, but holding the addition back because that's the most perceived condition that you can view the house from because of the vacant lot. So that is the kind of the door, the paired French doors that would go into the rabbi's study. We're suggesting this large connecting window as kind of a differentiator architecturally. to show the connecting stair and celebrate that a little bit, but then hold the kind of vertical line. You're seeing the connecting conditions for the stairs and the ramp kind of matching this 1 story or story plus condition to the kitchen and then the access to the roof. And then on the other side, because we're shifting to a commercial condition, we're trying to push that addition back another 5 feet off of the property line or maintain that condition away from it. So you're not seeing any windows on that side. The far right is the kitchen cook line, and the middle section is functionally the bathrooms and the elevator. So we're trying to decorate that with a green screen wall, trellis element, and then some shutters that can give some visual presence and break up. The kitchen is actually directly behind their garage. So in context, you actually don't see that kind of blank wall at the far right. And then we're maintaining the visibility of the existing window conditions in the existing home to the Wade Park side. These may better show it in context. So you're kind of reading the existing volume of the house as separate right now, and then you're seeing the addition kind of step back and take a quieter second approach to connecting back to the house. You see the prominence from the driveway condition where we're asking people to enter onto grade with it, and then the ramp condition kind of trailing around the back. This shows kind of the kitchen condition. We are trying to differentiate the architecture with more horizontals, broader windows, less of the punched openings, but we're maintaining those conditions. As you see, the sun porch is existing, kind of wraps around. We're maintaining that feature of the house and then trying to, create it as a deck element above, off of there as well. And then again, seeing in context to their existing garage, which is kind of a large gable roofed structure, we're blocking all of that condition. That's kind of a narrow passage between. You see the railed condition to the stairs down to the basement, out of the synagogue, the access stairs up to the kitchen, and then the connecting ramp off of this kind of back plaza patio space. And then again, street view from the front. Aerial view, again, differentiating that front preserved portion of the house with the addition on it. Another aerial view kind of showing the connecting stair and ramp. And that's what we were presenting.
Excellent. Thank you for the presentation. We'll then begin with our design review committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed schematically by the Greater Northeast Historic Design Review Advisory Committee on the 4th. Overall, a lot of the comments were in support of the proposed changes. The biggest kind of issue or concern that they had was the big window on the side of the home. They felt that it was out of scale with the rest of the fenestration on the home. Kind of wondered if that could be reduced in size or changed in some way to kind of fit more with either the more modern style of the addition or just be less of that mass on the side. There was discussion on the change of this from a home into more commercial or institutional use, and kind of the process that the applicants are going through for that. But otherwise, they overall they were in support of the proposed addition.
All right, thank you. And Landmark staff recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Landmark staff is also, generally in support of the project. We met with the applicant and the architect back in August 2025 to just kind of talk about, I guess, a preview of what you guys have seen today. I think it's definitely heading in the right direction. I think along with local committee, we share some concerns about the scale of that window, whether it gets smaller, is just broken down. I think the colors could also be studied in general. I think this is one of those cases where white trim, white windows are fairly appropriate to the design. Maybe adding some mullions to that large window might help break it up a little bit. I guess speaking of color too, one of the dominating design features of this house is that faux thatched roof. And glad to see that retained. But I think something that is more appropriate to a thatch color might help guide the color choices for the rest of the house. So, building. It's all local or status.
Right, excellent. Then we'll open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. Guess I'll start us off because I think maybe Bob and I are the ones who've seen this, through its entire series.
Thank you for your patience.
It's been, an evolution. So it's nice to see, the current design and how it really is embracing the existing building and really trying to respect it and add to it. So I really do appreciate, you bringing the conversations of the past to the current. I would agree. I think that's a really good, comment by staff about the colors, and really trying to continue to highlight that very unique element of this house, which is, its roof and the detailing of it. So how to celebrate that, with this new use. I would agree with the comments on the large window. It does not feel appropriate in the design. I understand the desire to bring in the light at the stairs, but could there be something that's a little bit more, I won't say historically appropriate, but scaled appropriate based on the size and scale of the structure itself? I'd say the same thing with your slot windows on the kitchen addition. Once again, I understand you're trying to express that it's more of a modern expression, but they're not working for me personally, in proportion and size of height versus widths related to the other windows on the building. I do like how you've stepped down the rear portion of the structure and really tried to minimize that and work off of what's adjacent, which is this smaller scaled garages. Overall, I think I'm in support of the project, but the details are what I am struggling with right now, but I know that will be developed through the design. And I think that's all my comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions and comments? Mr. Dula?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this is a really interesting project, and I think it is going in a really good direction. I would concur with comments from design review as well as Madam Chair and Landmark staff. I think it really is about the proportions of those fenestrations within the overall composition of the house. I think there's a lot of clues there. I think what's fun about the house and even the existing sun porch is you've got ones, you've got a 4, you've got, a 3. You've got some really interesting things going on. And I think that kind of mosaic of different scales. And there's also wonderful precedents for things like that, especially with a stair, whether it's something like the Glessner House in Chicago or Trinity Church in Boston, where it's a transition element and whether it reflects the stair or not, or you actually step the openings and you could do something really fun there. The other question I would have is, do you, since that's the stair that actually goes down to the synagogue in the, I'll call it the lower level, we like to call it even this building, the garden level, because it's not a basement, it's a synagogue. So it's, I think honoring that maybe with some light into that portion of the stair, but not necessarily pulling the brick up. I think that there's an opportunity to do something kind of wonderful there that really speaks to what you're actually doing to the house, which is creating, and I love the stepping down. I think that's good. The roof terrace seemed really fun. So I think I would have the same comment that Madam Chair did about the horizontality of the windows. There's ways to do ribbon windows in a house like this that the existing house already has clues in. So you know all that. But I think how that feels, especially from that backyard space and what you would see glimpses of, especially the question, you have a bead on that vacant lot next door? That would be for the rabbi.
Both officially and unofficially, I think the answer is yes. So
good, because that's a big piece of this. And that's why I think that really getting this right, the opportunity you have is so important because it is really visible and it tells the whole story of the entire endeavor of Chabad in this neighborhood. It's fantastic. So anyways, those are my comments. And I think it's excited about seeing how it continues to evolve.
Thank you, Mr. Dula. Ms. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm pleased to see that the roof height of the addition no longer exceeds the roof height of the house. That's a welcome change. And I'm glad that you're retaining the roof with that faux shake look. I know roofers don't always enjoy roofing that, but you know, it's a very important element of this house. I see this as a place of light and warmth and welcome. You know, it's welcome to the community. It's, something, a bright spot in the community, and therefore I am very turned off by it being in a kind of a shroud color, including the roof. I think the roof should be the you know, resemble more of that thatch. The body of the house, again, I think it does not conform to the mission, and it does not conform to the aesthetic of that area that was built, what, about 1915. That color is just not, is modern. It's not part of this the language that's there. I agree with all of my fellow commissioners and the design review comments regarding the window. I think Mr. Dulick had some really interesting proposals on how that can be addressed. And I, especially since right now we're looking at a vacant lot on the west side, so you can see this. I think you have a vertical siding on that kitchen addition, and I think something that's more conforming to the neighborhood would be much more appropriate. And I think those are my, I'd like to see more porch detail.
Oh, I'm sorry, on the rear second floor porch?
Actually, the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is functionally the existing condition. So
Okay.
there was going to be repair to the wood deck
Okay.
that's there now. It's in less than ideal shape. But yes, the whole point would be we're going to restore the columns and fix any trim work for that. The goal would be that's a restoration of
It's
the
just
existing
restoration.
conditions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anderson. Director?
I just have one very minor comment, and of course, you know your community and the folks who are coming here much better than I do. I'm presuming that since they are a lot of college students, you might have some bicycles coming. And just, I would think about if there's an extension of a concrete pad, like maybe behind that railing of the stairs coming up from the synagogue. I think otherwise folks might just end up walking to the railing, which is maybe okay given the volumes that you have, but just a small thing to think about how to design that in as you're doing the overall expansion.
I fully expect at some point in time, we did submit on the 6th for zoning. The application is still pending in the system, at least according to Acela this morning before I left. I will get chewed out for someone that we didn't include a bike rack on it in zoning already. I know that when we submitted it, it was like, we didn't include a bike rack. So that is my fault. So that will invariably show up. So.
Thank you, Director. Any additional questions or comments from the commission? Ms. Strickland?
Does the applicant own that vacant parcel to the west?
No, the homeowner to the left, to the west, the first home that you see with the kind of 4 square gables on it.
Yeah.
He owns the lot to the right. And there've been conversations, you know, ongoing since 2016. So
I'm just looking at it. It looks like that back portion of the lot is heavily wooded. And so at least in the existing condition, that back addition is not going to be as visible from the street.
Correct.
As, you know, as it's rendered. And I do have an issue with the size of that window in the addition. And breaking that up some way and still functionally working with the program. I think it would be more appropriate to find a different solution there.
Agreed.
But yeah, I agree with my fellow commissioners' comments about reducing the scale of that back addition and bringing that ridge line below the existing ridge is definitely appropriate. And yeah, I think it's a wonderful addition. But I also agree with Michelle's comments about the color and other comments that have been made. I don't think it's appropriate for this neighborhood. And finding a solution closer to what historically might have prevailed would be preferable.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Other questions and comments from the commission? Not seeing any, since this is a schematic review. Do you feel you received enough feedback to continue development of your design?
I do. Rabbi, any comments?
One comment is I can't see names of the speaker who spoke last is right. It is very wooded. And indeed, most of the extension is not even visible from the street. And one thing which is not in the photos is that the neighbor who the adjacent lot, the empty lot, he actually just put up a fence along the middle of his property. So not only the woods are blocking it, also his fence is blocking it. And so most of that's not even visible from the street. That's something to keep in mind. All the comments are on point and what we were looking for. And it's just another variable to keep in mind. The last thing is that indeed, as Jim said, we've been in talks for many years of purchasing the lot from him so that we would know who our neighbors are, certainly, and be able to have space that it should continue to be a place of light and love and warmth, as somebody mentioned so kindly there. So that's all part of the plans. The one other comment, which is on the previous slide, Jim, can you get to a slide where you see our house and our neighbors?
Maybe
like the overhead, even the overhead one, just the overhead one that you were looking at before. So dramatic pause. There it is. So yeah, so to the left, the home and his home, which is like you said, the green gabled one. He's the one who actually sold us the house in both houses, and he's very supportive and loved the idea that this is going to be developed and enhance the neighborhood. Now to the right, as Jim told you, we live the house number 3. House number 1, which is the corner house, is owned by our nonprofit as well. So all those 3 homes are owned by the same organization. The one in the middle is our neighbor Johnny. When I showed him these plans, I said, like, you're going to be affected most because his backyard is now going to be blocked. Instead of just a backyard, it'll be a building. So he says, "What you mean? I'll get more privacy?" I said, "Yeah, that's what it means." He said, "Is anyone going to live there?" I said, "No." He said, "So no one's looking in my backyard?" I said, "No." I said, "Okay, you have my support." So that was that's just things to keep in mind. I know that's also part of Board of Zoning Appeals, but those are just some other comments as I was listening. Thank you all.
All right, well, thank you. We look forward to seeing this continue and starting to come to fruition. So we look forward to seeing you again in the near future with your final proposal.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the time and the comments. So
Thank you.
and the good memories. So
Yeah, we remember. So that concludes our schematic plan reviews for today. We will then move on to our meeting minutes. There were 3 that were circulated from September 9th, 2021, October 14th, 2021, and October 28th, 2021. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of those meeting minutes? If not, would someone please put forward a motion for approval?
I move to approve the minutes from September 9th, 2021, October 14th, 2021, and October 28th, 2021.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anderson. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Samberry. We have a motion second. Any further discussion? No. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Director Mersman?
Yes.
Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Mr. Strickland?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trout.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
excellent. We will then move on to administrative reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to note that Alan Dreyer's memorial service is this Saturday at 4 o'clock at the Cleveland History Center. If anyone can attend, I can forward that information on if anyone needs it. As mentioned before, this is our second to last meeting for the year, so we just have one in December, and then we're into 2026, which is kind of crazy. And in that December meeting, that upcoming December meeting, we hope to bring some more nominations for Design Review Advisory Committee membership, committee members. So
Excellent. Do we have any updates of who will take Alan's?
not at this point,
See?
but yeah, we're working on finding out.
Will be sorely missed. All right, well then, that concludes our administrative reports, and we will adjourn for today and see everyone at our next meeting on December 11th. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Yes.